activity could have positive health effects.
Look, we're not expecting you to go to the gym. That's clearly not happening. Just walk outside for a few blocks and then come back home. You can bring potato chips if that's what it'll take.
For many years, the health department has encouraged Americans to watch less TV, but this report reverses that, saying, quote, watch whatever the hell you want, but at least pay attention and remember who the characters are, or just admire the colors. Colors are pretty. It's expected that following the advice in this report will cut down on the largest cause of death among Americans, laying on your back until your mouth fills up with saliva and you drown. Following the report's release, the most popular exercise now seems to be masturbating, but researchers warn that if you do it in public, stick to the sidewalk or you might get hit by cars.
This is the Onion News Network.
We're still not sure why you'd want to watch, but our video feed is streaming nightly for free at cam.freetalklive.com. Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control, and 603-283-6160 is the phone number. You can call that number to get in on the conversation with us. Bring up whatever is on your mind. There are no taboo topics, they're just taboo words.
7 of them.
7 apparently. 603-283-6160. And with you on Free Talk Live tonight, you've got me, Bonnie,
Lori,
And Richie Rich.
and there's tons of things to talk about tonight, but
All ridiculous. All ridiculous.
but
as is tradition, it's always everything's always ridiculous now.
I'm surprised as we were doing the run-up to see what we were like going to line up, how much of what I had you had actually seen this week, Lori. That was fantastic.
I think that we have the same general areas that we explore on the internet.
Maybe now. It wasn't always like this.
No.
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think I've ever heard you guys saying the same thing, like, oh, I had that too about so many things.
I'm glad you caught up just in time for us to have to change.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is like the exact one you brought up. Wait, no, this can't be. This one's from June 30th. This says Florida bill allowing radioactive roads made of potentially cancer-causing mining waste, signed by DeSantis. Is that it?
Yeah, it's the same thing. The stuff they use degrades into something else.
Oh, so that's kind of weird that you guys both had like kind of an old article, but you had it at the same day, because this one hasn't been updated since June 30th.
This one's December 27th.
Maybe you should read that one. I don't know if there's like an update that's not being pulled up on my end. Basically the idea is that Florida is using radioactive mining waste to build their roads that can actually be cancer-causing in humans.
Mm-hmm. So this story is from Zadoktown.
Reputable news source.
Yeah. Well, it's on multiple news sources, so it must be reputable, right?
Well, this is the more recent one.
Florida is debuting a new material for building roads. There's just one problem. It's radioactive.
Dun, dun, dun.
The Environmental Protection Agency recently gave a private company the green light to use phosphogypsum, a radioactive byproduct of fertilizer, in road construction. When phosphogypsum decays, it forms radon, a radioactive gas that can cause lung cancer.
And radon is a big deal in New Hampshire that I didn't know about until I got here and was starting to like look at houses. Mm-hmm. So apparently, at least in New Hampshire, it's like naturally forming in the ground. And when you do a home inspection, they have to like test for radon gas leaks.
Yeah.
And if they detect radon, it's like, oh, okay, then you got to put on like a radon removal system, which will capture the gas and evacuate it, through like a chimney or, a pipe or whatever, so it doesn't leach into the home and give you cancer.
I feel like there's some kind of like radon detector that people are supposed to have in their basements or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like everyone.
So I'm not just imagining.
But if you detect it, you got to get rid of it. So it usually comes with like the pump, or I don't even know what to call it, but the pipe to get rid of it after it's been detected.
So
Okay.
I wanted to know why there's radon gas coming out of the ground in New Hampshire. So this is what the Google AI overview says, so take that as you will. It says radon is prevalent in New Hampshire's ground because of the state's large amount of granite bedrock, which naturally contains uranium that decays into radon gas. This means that as the uranium breaks down within the granite, it releases radon into the surrounding soil and groundwater, making New Hampshire particularly susceptible to elevated radon levels due to its nickname, the Granite State.
So there you go. But like, so it's a danger here, and Florida's like, you know what this is good for? Roads. Government roads.
So if you have
Let's just
like,
do it with like radon and asbestos.
if you
Yeah.
have well water, does that mean you're drinking uranium
That's what I
in
was
New
just
Hampshire?
thinking. I was like,
you should test
all
it.
the water.
I mean, I don't have a well.
when
but-
you put your well in, you should test it.
The city
Yeah.
Right.
puts out their tests, so you could look at that if you believe their tests. It's so hard for me to believe any city test.
yeah.
I mean, I drink bottled water. I don't drink the tap water. I'm told like Manchester tap water is drinkable, and I go,
Yeah, I'm told the same about Key, and I drink it anyway.
okay.
My
well, you
water-
have a filter though that's similar. Like I buy the like the Primo water from like Walmart to fill it. Like I take the 5-gallon jug and I just refill it with
Do you
their
have one of
filtered
those
water.
like stand-up water machines?
No, I just leave it on the counter and I pump it or fill up smaller jugs and put it in
Lift
the
the
fridge.
whole 5-gallon thing every time you want a glass of water.
No,
That'd be great. I'm just going to imagine that though.
Yeah, no, I'm strong enough to do it. Like, don't get me wrong.
Pouring it into a glass.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
Funny.
just what I'm
it's
going to
got a
imagine.
handle, right?
Oh, it has a handle?
Yeah, the round ones
yeah,
do.
I
The
remember
ones,
them having
the
it.
ones I don't. And that's because the ones that I bought are from like BJ's, and it's like 5.25 gallons.
Fancier.
So when I take it to Walmart to fill it up, like I get 5.25 gallons, but they've only got a button for 5 gallons on the checkout machine.
Aha.
So I get like
Does-
a quarter gallon every time for free.
Getting
Does
rich.
Manchester put fluoride in their water?
I don't know.
Because Keene doesn't put it in their water, so like everything else that I'm really worried about can be filtered.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And again, I've drink water from your tap because it has a filter, right?
Yeah.
So
Our water smells like bleach, like straight bleach when you get it out of the sink, so we filter all of our water.
It does here too. Whenever my filter in my shower is getting weak or like old, it starts to smell like bleach again in my shower, and I'm like, that can't not be good for your lungs.
No.
It has to be.
or
bad
any
for
other part of your body. Like,
Well,
I don't
yeah.
want to drink bleach and it smells like straight bleach. Like, I just cleaned my sink with bleach.
And I at one point was like, why do they put chlorine? Because that's the bleach smell
to clean it,
in our water. And
it's got other crap in there.
there's a guy, I guess I shouldn't say his name, he's kind of private, that's a free stater, and he was like, wouldn't you rather an entrenched government worker bleach the water instead of being in charge of like making sure there's not deadly bacteria? And I was like, honestly, good point, especially since with the bleach stuff, it's not really, I mean, I guess it is bleach, it's chlorine, since you can just leave it in a glass on the counter and it will actually evaporate. Now I'm less worried about it. You can also filter it, apparently.
Okay. Well, when I drink chlorine water, it's usually because I open my mouth too wide in the pool, and then I immediately want to spit it out. Get rid of it. Not tasting
Just
good at all.
smells so bad.
I did
The only
when I
tap
was-
water I drink is from back home in Hawaii.
I did when I was a kid, swimming like pools like that, and now I'm just not even interested. If I'm gonna swim, it'll be in the ocean basically exclusively, because lakes and rivers freak me out.
Really?
Lakes and rivers freak you out, but the ocean doesn't when there's
Well,
like giant sharks and
it does.
jellyfish and stuff?
It does freak me out too, but I would rather, if I was gonna like just sit my legs in it, like I'm never gonna go swim out into the deep. No.
Okay.
Yeah, but there's
Not
still
interested.
jellyfish
Yeah,
and sharks.
there are jellyfish, but
Like, I've been at the beach before and had like everyone get out of the water, shark.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
That's why even from
won't
Hawaii, I
go-
don't like going to the beach.
Yeah.
I won't even go deep enough into like that part where you have to like swim to get back. I will just sit there in the sand with my legs in the water. It's like, yeah, you could get hit by a jellyfish, but I don't know. I never have. My dad did. My dad also stepped on a crab, and he said it was like one of the worst pains of his life because it just like cut into his foot instantly. It grabbed. So,
Yeah, and then there's like razor
Dangerous.
clams. I'd much rather swim in a lake.
but lakes really
Less
creep
deadly
me
things
out.
in the lake.
Yeah, I mean, you might get like bit by a snapping turtle,
Okay.
The
but
thing that
It's
I'm
more
scared of,
survivable than getting bit by a shark.
but that's probably it.
Okay.
in a
thing that
lake.
I'm scared of in a lake is gars. I don't know if they're here. I didn't specifically look that up, but I saw one when I was a kid right at the edge of the lake. Me and my friend were like, look, it's a gar, and we knew what it was from Animal Crossing. And it had its mouth slightly open, like mad at us or something. And my friend, we were both like looking as she gets close, and she fell like directly on it. Like I think she peed herself running back.
But did she get eaten?
No.
So then it's probably safe.
She must
You
have
know what's
scared
safest?
it.
Pools. You can see the bottom.
Yeah.
And there's nothing in there.
I would love a saltwater pool, but the
Okay.
chlorine just like it smells horrible in my hair for days, for one thing.
Well, when I was growing up, we had a pool in our yard, but we didn't have chlorine. We had bacitracin, I think is what it was called, or something like that, and it doesn't smell like anything. So, and it doesn't turn your hair green.
Like
Nice.
the ointment you put on a cut.
Oh, maybe that's not it. It starts with a B. I'll
Okay.
have to look it
I
up.
don't know.
All right.
With something.
I don't know,
never-
but bacitracin is like the ointment
That's
you
it.
put on a cut.
That's right. I was like, that doesn't sound right, but it's something like that.
I thought maybe there was multiple use.
No.
We used radon in our pools when I was a kid.
Did you use radon, or
It
did
was a
you use
granite pool.
phosphogypsum and let it degrade into radon?
Oh, so that's the problem with
Yeah.
with the roads there. So I was about to say, I was thinking of like this thought started working in my brain, but I got distracted. Like, how are they using a gas to build roads? But now I get it. They're using phosphogypsum, which degrades into radon. Well, how
And
many
then
years?
leaches it.
How many years would that take?
I don't know. Maybe they'll tell us
maybe
in the
it's in the
story.
article.
Yeah. But I just wanted to mention one more thing for you to be afraid of in lakes, because it's the only thing that I'm afraid of
Why
from
are you
lakes
doing this
is,
to people?
is brain-eating amoebas. That's the
Oh,
only
yeah.
thing that
Oh.
I'm freaked out about lakes.
I've
by.
also-
Leptospirosis.
The
Is
other
that what
thing
that is?
That's what I remember.
Oh.
It was in some of like the other waters, not the beach waters, like the stream waters.
Yeah,
in Hawaii.
it's like
It's like don't
fresh
go,
water.
Don't go pee in there because the little thing's gonna like crawl into you.
Yeah, that
It'll wreck
has
you
freaked
from the
me
inside.
out as a kid, and also leeches. I forgot those existed really, but one of them got on one of my siblings when I was a kid, and I don't even want to think about that. Also, crawfish. It could be just like my dad. Like, step on a crawfish, it's gonna pinch your foot.
Yeah, you can get them back by eating them.
And then snakes. Ugh, but
Oh,
I'm
yes.
just scaring myself. But honestly, the number one problem isn't any animal for me with lakes. It's the fact that the water is usually like browner and you can't see down, and that freaks me out. And then the just the fact that I know that there's something underneath me, I don't like that. Like, that's why I said I wouldn't even go in the deeps of the ocean. It's like if I'm floating on top, lake is underneath me. It doesn't. I just have my imagination, to bother me about that, and that's why I won't do it in the ocean either. I'll sit on the sand, collect seashells, and let the waves touch me, and take the risk of getting hit by a jellyfish.
I've swam in like open ocean when I was a kid, but I would never do it now
Yeah.
because now I know that I am mortal.
How did you get out to the open ocean? It was like a boat?
Yeah, my
Okay.
uncle had like a speedboat, and we'd always go out to the ocean. He'd like go
Nice.
out.
I've
and
done that in a
we'd
lake.
jump out and go swimming.
We
I've
were
done
out by
that
the
in a lake.
sandbar, and my buddy like pulled up the anchor, and we had to like swim to go get the boat. Like, dude, what are you doing?
I would never do it
I
now.
thought it would be funny.
I wouldn't do either one
Was it?
now.
No,
No. So
it wasn't even a big boat. It was a small boat.
Yeah, this was a small boat. It was
Yeah.
like a little speedboat,
Yeah, well, not okay. A little bit. Ours was a little smaller. Ours like fit 4 people.
like a dinghy.
Yeah,
My grandpa would pull us on, like a floaty, so then we're like bouncing on the. That was fun, but then you fall and you're just in the lake until somebody comes and gets you.
I've done that
Disgusting.
before until I was doing it, and then I watched someone else do it, and they hit like a wave wrong, and she flew up off the tube and hit the water like a brick, and her body like folded up, and I was like, I'm never doing that again because I don't want to.
you should watch a
I don't want that
videos
to happen to me.
of YouTube of people speedboat accidents. People just bounce around and they hit the wave wrong.
Yeah, it's like hitting the street.
I get it.
Yeah.
No thanks.
Foolish. Buckle
That's-
in.
And that's what
Yeah.
my grandpa would purposely do. It's like when you're right behind and you're in the boat's waves, it's like easy. You can stay on for a long time, but he'd purposely take like sharp turns to try to knock you off.
Ow.
What a jerk.
I don't remember it hurting really. It just being like, now I'm in the water and that's gross.
I've got too many grandkids. Hey, anybody want to go on a boat with me?
Yeah, that's what it was.
So this article about the radioactive roads says a Florida company is giving new meaning to the popular reduce, reuse, and recycle. Specifically, it wants to reuse the byproduct produced during phosphate mining to build roads. There's only one problem. It's radioactive. Using radioactive material to build roads in Florida. Earlier this week, the Environmental Protection Agency approved the request of Mosaic, the largest phosphate...
What? This is the Environmental Protection
Yeah.
Agency.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is like the organization that's supposed to stop dumb stuff like this from getting through.
Oh, well, see, the thing is that regulatory agencies don't actually do anything.
Oh, okay.
They don't actually do anything. I had a whole conversation with some guy. Were you here? You were here. Some guys arguing with us about why regulatory companies are great. and we were like, they don't actually do anything. I hope he's listening right now.
Was that the guy who was talking about regulatory companies in like grocery stores? That one?
It's the guy who doesn't like
No,
libertarians.
he was talking about safety.
What is the full name of the what phosphate?
Phosphogypsum, I think. Let me go
Okay.
look.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, phosphogypsum.
Good memory.
Thanks.
So I looked up what is the half-life of phosphogypsum, and it says it contains radionuclides with varying half-lives, including one that is 1,600 years, one that's 138 days, and one that's 3.8 days.
I wonder which one Florida's going to use.
Yeah.
So the EPA approved the request of Mosaic, the largest phosphate producer in the U.S., to carry out a small-scale pilot project using various mixtures of phosphogypsum as a road base.
In the poor neighborhood.
Yeah, of course.
Of course.
Not in my backyard.
Let's do it in Disney. Can we get this done at Disney World? Let those people have it first.
They'd probably do it in like the ghetto behind Disney World,
That's what I'm
maybe.
saying.
Yeah. The company plans to create 4 sections of test road with the phosphogypsum road base at its new Wales facility in Polk County. Federal regulations require phosphogypsum to be stored in engineered piles known as stacks. What a technical term. I'm glad they told us that. To limit the public's exposure to its radioactive components. Standing hundreds of feet high and covering hundreds of acres, phosphogypsum stacks can resemble small mountains.
So they just have this stuff lying around?
I guess it's just like big piles.
Like, what can we do with this radioactive waste? Like, Florida, hey, you guys want some roads?
Just put it on the pile of radioactive waste over there.
Well, I looked up trying to figure out which kind of radium it is, and it didn't tell me. It just said it uses radium, but not the type it is. But one thing I'm thinking of is just like, will Florida even exist in 1,600 years? Because they have you guys seen these maps of all of Florida's sinkholes?
No.
So basically, Florida is like lower. So there's like one ground, right? But it is lower under the sea on the east and west of Florida. Then it rises up. It's like one giant plateau, I think is the word.
Okay.
And the part of the Florida that we know as Florida is just sinkholing to get to. So one day, maybe whoever,
To level itself out.
yeah, whoever knows how many years from now, it'll all be level with the sides.
Okay.
And it's, if you look at these maps, it's like there's not like a region of Florida untouched. It looks like it's almost like gone. And there's like a huge problem with it where like people will be buying a house and they have to understand like that a sinkhole can just come and take their house.
Absolutely not.
Is it covered by insurance?
I don't know. I have
Probably
no
not.
idea.
It's probably like an act of God.
Okay.
You
Yeah,
know?
because it's like random, quote unquote.
There's no way I would buy it. If I was buying a house and they were like, a sinkhole might open up and eat your house, I would leave that area immediately and never come back.
I don't understand why anyone lives in Florida. The humidity, the sinkholes, the hurricanes.
Alligators,
The alligators, seriously, that's bad
giant
enough.
snakes everywhere.
No property taxes.
That's okay.
They have no property tax there?
Disney.
Yeah.
Well, why would you pay property tax on a property that's going to fall into the abyss?
Well, that's generally why people move to Florida and why like professional athletes will buy a home in Florida because they're on the road most of the time. And so why are you going to pay taxes when you're not going to be there? So it's either like null or low, or that's one of the,
A lot of people I knew growing up that were like horrible, terrible people moved to Florida.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that whole thing is about. Like all the bad, terrible people go to Florida
Okay.
and old people.
And old people. Yeah, because
And
they
old
retired.
people.
They, the cost of living or whatever was decent enough where if you were in New York your whole life and were making New York money, right? Florida with the weather and the accommodations, like, oh no, we can live here for the next 20 years.
Yeah, but why is it the dirt bags? Why do the dirt bags move to Florida?
I don't know
Okay,
that
so
answer.
the dirtbags don't move to Florida. Are you talking about like Florida Man?
Yeah,
In
and like every terrible
Okay.
person I know.
Florida,
Not all of them, but most of them.
There's some law in Florida, I don't know what it is, so call in if you can, help me through this. There's some law in Florida that all those arrests have to be made public.
Oh, I know about that.
Okay, well that's why. And
No, but why
that's-
do the dirt bags move there though?
It's not that the dirtbags move there. It's that an abundance of reporting of the dirtbags gets out to the public because of the Florida law.
Oh.
There's similar dirtbags everywhere.
I mean, that's
They
true.
just-
They came from here, so.
Well, but they also still exist everywhere. They just don't get reported on because other states don't have that lack of privacy in publishing that information.
I don't really have that much of an opinion on people that live in Florida. Maybe part of it is like I know so many military people. It's like when I'm racking my brain for who lives in Florida, that I know it's just like they're there because of Fort Lauderdale. But one thing I do think of is the fact that they are just like nothing like the other people of the South, and like no one in the South claims them as the South. They're just like a totally different culture. Maybe you could say like they're
because they get a whole bunch of Hispanics coming over from those countries.
Yeah, but it's like even like Mark and Ian are not Southern people. You know, like they're just New Yorkers or something. Basically, that's like their attitude. They fit in so well up here compared to like if they were just placed in the middle of Alabama. And they want to argue with me like we're Southern, and Mark didn't even know what biscuits and gravy was.
What? That's weird.
It's from like Sarasota.
It's like the west coast of Florida, so it's like where all the New Yorkers live.
I guess that's true too. Like all the states above Florida have like Southern accents, but Florida people do not.
And if that doesn't make, if what I'm saying doesn't make sense,
because it's the migration pattern.
My point is like my opinion is like that the nicest people live in the South. So if that's not your opinion, you might not get the point I was trying to make. But whatever.
I don't know. It depends. I hear a lot of like, racism and like.
I don't see how it's possible that there's more.
What you doing driving here, boy? Like all that kind of stuff.
The nice people in the Southern hospitality are like locals too there, and people aren't moving from New York to Alabama. They're moving to Florida.
Right.
So over generations of migrants, right, changed the demographic makeup of the area, plus all the Hispanic immigrants, as I said.
And then there's like sundown towns and stuff like that. That doesn't seem
that happens
nice.
in like Illinois and every small town. It's like Utah. Do you think that you're going to be doing really well if you're there in like a 100-person town that's all white Mormons with blonde hair and you're like a black guy? I just think that like the South gets like a really hard core like stereotypes because of the whole Civil War. Because like we used to have a caller named Kirby that actually did the show in here one time with. He like was here for Pork Fest and then he stopped at the studio, and he's from Indiana. That's not the South. And he was talking about it's basically like the black people versus the white people there. And when I went to school in Tennessee, it was like my school, I didn't really have a concept of Asians at all. And then I barely knew anything about any Hispanic people. It was like 50% white, 50% black. And it was just like anyone could be friends with anybody. It wasn't like, I don't know. And that was 2006.
Also, Jess, it's not just the Civil War. It's the remnants of the Civil War. And the fact that Southerners still like to fly the battle flag of the Civil War.
I don't see why.
For my heritage and not racism.
That's not about racism. That's why.
Well,
if you say so.
I lived in Greenville, South Carolina for a little while, and it was like openly racist.
Well, I've never lived there. Other places I've lived in the South are Tennessee, Texas, if you count it, Alabama, but not as long. And Alabama's like the place that gets the worst rap.
It's because like the most racist city in the country is in Alabama. It may not be like all of Alabama.
I have actually heard it's in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Me and my friend were interested to know what's the most racist state, and we looked it up, and it was Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Where in Pennsylvania? Oh, just the whole state of Pennsylvania is racist?
Yeah.
Well, again, not the most racist state, but the most racist city within a state.
Oh, okay.
Well, I would never think of Pennsylvania as racist.
Well,
because they fought for the North.
It's a lot of Amish people.
Well, Ricky, you just made my point, but see, Ricky has been openly racist on the show, so I don't let him call me
and flies the battle flag.
Well, that's just like conflating two things.
If you say so.
Well, I do.
I heard it.
Yeah. 603-283-6160 if you'd like to bring up whatever's on your mind. There are no two taboo topics on Free Talk Live. 603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live coming up. Don't go anywhere.
Some of you have wanted to support Free Talk Live's mission on a monthly basis, but don't want to support Patreon. Now we have an alternative that also helps our premier streaming platform, Odyssey. Visit video.freetalklive.com and click Join at the top of the channel. You can subscribe for $5 per month, and unlike other subscription services, Odyssey adds their processing fee on top, so it'll cost a little over $5 per month, but Free Talk Live will receive the entire amount you pledged. Higher donation tiers are available if you're feeling so inspired. You'll get a special membership badge that's visible in the Odyssey chat room, and if we get enough supporters, we may enable members-only chat. This new subscription method is a great way to decentralize our direct listener support away from just Patreon and also support a libertarian-run business, Odyssey. Please visit video.freetalklive.com and click join to subscribe to our Odyssey channel and help support spreading our message around the planet. Visit video.freetalklive.com and click join today.
From a Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Benji Haya. Joe Biden has declared a national day of mourning following the death this weekend of one of his predecessors, Jimmy Carter, the United States' 39th president, who he called a man of principle, faith, and humility. Our US correspondent Mitch McCann reports.
In a proclamation, President Biden declared January 9 as a national day of mourning throughout the United States. In his statement, he called on the American people to assemble in their respective places of worship to honour the memory of Jimmy Carter. He also ordered US flags be displayed at half-staff at the White House, all public buildings and grounds, at military posts and naval stations. A state funeral will be held for former President Carter, a 7 to 10 day event in 3 stages, and will likely include ceremonies in Washington, D.C. and Carter's home state of Georgia.
South Korea has ordered an emergency safety inspection of the nation's entire airline system after a plane crash killed 179 passengers there. The Jeju Air Boeing aircraft successfully touched down at one international airport on Sunday without its landing gear before sliding off the end of the runway and hitting a concrete wall, bursting into flames. Here's aviation expert David Learmont.
To have a hard object about 200 metres or less into the overrun, I think it's verging on criminal to have it there.
Meanwhile, several other airlines have announced the suspension of flights to Russia after Azerbaijan accused the country of shooting down one of its airliners with an air defence system. Trent Murray has the details.
Azerbaijan's president has called on Russia to apologise and pay compensation for allegedly shooting down an Azerbaijan Airlines Embraer jet last week. 38 people died after the jet diverted and crash-landed in nearby Kazakhstan. Amid safety concerns, Israel's flag carrier El Al has announced it is suspending flights to Moscow until at least March.
Russia and Ukraine have exchanged hundreds of prisoners of war in a deal brokered by the United Arab Emirates. And 2024 has been the most deadly on record for migrants trying to cross the English Channel in small boats. 77 people have died attempting to make the journey from France to the UK this year alone. The British government is blaming, quote, ruthless criminals who operate smuggling gangs and exploit those fleeing conflict. Zoe Gardner is a migration policy researcher.
We can have smashed the gangs all we like, but if there is still war in Sudan and there is still the Taliban in Afghanistan, then the UK will still be a destination for safety for some of those people. And if we still keep treating the gangs like they're the root of the problem, then we can arrest one and another one will take their place.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
You can help spread the ideas of liberty with our Patreon for just $5 per month at amps.freetalklive.com.
Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control, and 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. And with you on Free Talk Live, you've got me, Bonnie,
Lori,
and Richie Rich.
And Free Talk Live is brought to you by Dash, Digital Cash. Dash is the cryptocurrency made for spending. You can pay your bills with Dash at Spritz.finance. Plus, they can send dollars to your bank if you still need those for something. That's Spritz with a Z at the end. I keep thinking I feel so uncomfortable sending someone to a specific URL, and they could be going to Spritz with an S and then or a S at the end, and then I'm getting them scammed or something. But anyways, I doubt there's actually a scam site with that name. Just wanted to say it.
There will be now.
Yeah. Hopefully they have both, like they took both the domains. Like that'd be kind of dumb not to. So, yep, Spritz with a Z at the end, .finance. Thanks to the Dash DAO for sending us 32 Dash per month for this sponsorship. It's easy to get and use Dash. You can learn more at dash.org. That's dash.org. And the number, that's 603-283-6160. Multiple people have called it, so I'm going to go to Matt. You had something you want to say about radon, so it's kind of on topic. We were talking in the last segment about how Florida is creating roads with a material that breaks down into radon gas, which is radioactive. So what's on your mind about that, Matt?
Yeah, well, so I think that the thing about radon that a lot of people don't understand is that it's super easy to protect against. Like you can drink it. Like if you have water that has radon in it, it's not going to do anything to you because the primary radioactive particle that radon gives off is an alpha particle, which is just a positively charged helium atom, which is attenuated by literally anything. The easiest way to protect you from radon is having skin. So like if there's a source of radon around you, you'll be fine as long as you don't breathe it. It's when you breathe it that's a problem. You can swallow it. It can be around you. It's when you breathe it that's the problem. So you can protect yourself with just a mask. So it's kind of like a boogeyman.
Well, what about with the water, though? Because it's going to be getting into the water with it being in the road. So right here on the internet it says the health risks radon in drinking water can increase the risk of developing internal organ cancers, primarily stomach cancer. However, the risk is smaller than lung cancer from breathing it. And I understand that...
It's also going to vent into the vehicle.
Yeah, I understand that it's true that... my question is obviously it seems true that it's not as bad to breathe it. I mean, drink it as it is to breathe it, but why? I wouldn't want either. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, what are you saying? It's okay?
What radon does, the reason why radon is bad is because radon gives off alpha particles. Alpha particles are positively charged helium atoms. They do incredible amounts of damage, but they're also very large, so they're easily attenuated. Like you can block them with literally anything. Like you don't even need like a piece of paper. Like just your skin can so if you have a source of alpha particles like radon, like literally your skin will stop it from getting to any of your vital organs. If you swallow it, the water around the water that you swallowed it with will protect you. It's when you inhale it, like when it gets into your lungs, because the air isn't going to protect you, so then it causes damage. It can cause lung cancer. It's like asbestos. Asbestos isn't really bad. Like the way that they deal with asbestos and asbestos mitigations, you get it wet and it just won't affect you, because what happens is that the reason why asbestos is bad is if you get it in your lungs, you're screwed because the fibers will get you. But if you just make it wet and you don't get it in your lungs, it's not a problem.
So let's talk about the roads in Florida then, because we're talking about a test bed for now. But if the test goes well, you're going to have miles upon miles of asphalt, right, leaching this radon gas into the air. And if I'm driving down the Florida highway with my window down, right, or AC has a filter or whatever, but my window down, right, I'm just passing through and it's entering my vehicle with the air that I breathe. And if that's the only way it's harmful...
If you have your window down, you're screwed. But all you have to do is put your window up and use your air filter.
Here's another idea, though. It says
you can't roll down your window while driving down. So dogs in Florida who like to hang out the window, forget about it on these radon roads. Or if you don't have
AC on the hot
or if you don't have AC.
Don't be poor.
I don't remember the last time I rolled my window down. It's been at least 10 years.
Do you live
I rolled mine down on the drive over here.
Do you live in Florida?
Why?
I do
because
it for
I wanted
lots
fresh.
of random reasons.
I wanted fresh air, and my window was fogging up, and I couldn't see out of the side, and I needed to roll it down.
There's a button on your car that will give you fresh air.
That would also bring it into the... I mean, I guess if your filter is good enough, it would filter it. Another question here is
I don't like that air that comes in through the vents.
Okay.
It feels different.
It actually hurts
smells different.
Well, and my windows were fogging up, and I rolled them down so I could see out the side of the car.
I prefer window down fresh air than vent fresh air.
Sometimes my dog stinks up the entire car with his breath, and I don't let him hang his head out the window, but I'll sometimes let the breath out of the window. Sometimes some passenger farts, things like that. I don't know if I can say it on the radio, but...
What's worse? Car fart or radon inhalation.
Yeah, and the other thing is
there radon in farts? Who knows?
if there's radon in the water, this says that when it's released into the air when it's used for showering, washing dishes, and other household activities, and that's how it can get into your lungs through water.
I mean, it can get into your lungs through water because of off-gassing, but the thing is that if the radon is in the water, unless it off-gasses and you're breathing it in. Also, people in Florida, like you guys are lucky that you're in New Hampshire. No one in Florida is driving with their windows down because the air is so gosh darn humid. Like no one in Florida drives with their windows down.
Well, now you shouldn't even do it with that unless you want to get stomach cancer.
It seems like that's a false statement because I would imagine there's someone in Florida with their window down.
I mean, when was the last time you were in Florida?
We've also given you multiple examples of why someone would roll their window down, even if for a brief period of time.
And I lived in San Antonio.
So
I've definitely driven with my windows down.
Florida is an incredibly humid place, and so rolling your windows down in Florida doesn't provide the cooling sensation that you get in New Hampshire. I know that because I lived in Florida for a year, and I also was in Florida 6 months ago, and it's very humid there.
I lived in San Antonio.
To let bad smell out or let a fart out or
people
so
who
I could see out
smoke in
my
their
window.
car.
Yeah, people who smoke.
People smoke in their car.
I have a car that was built before 2005, so it's got a filter, and it will take care of that. Like, I mean, are you worried about farts in your car?
Yes,
I mean,
I don't
it's an
wanna
issue
smell
if
it.
she rolls down the window when a dog farts in the car.
Farts or breathes.
Or breathes.
And the other
right?
thing is that I lived in San Antonio, and it's just as humid there. Me and my husband have compared it, and I remember one huge reason to open a window, even though it's humid, it sounds a little counterproductive, but when it's humid enough to fog up your windows, but you have to just start driving, opening your windows can get the humidity off the windshield.
I lived in San Antonio for 3 years. I literally never rolled down my windows the entire time I was there.
Good for you. You like
So
fart
like you'll be
smells.
safe in Florida, but everyone else who has a reason to roll their window down.
And the other
will
thing
have
is
to
like,
deal with this.
what about
Like, it's
double-blind
funny
What about
anecdotal
motorcycles?
study,
Oh,
Matthew?
good point.
What about motorcycles?
And besides, this is just a stupid anecdotal study of one. You know, like Matthew loves to point out what other people do.
Okay. I want his answer on what Lori just said about motorcycles.
Okay, yeah, motorcycles are death traps. Like, I mean, if you're in a motorcycle, you clearly have a death wish.
Well, I mean, you're saying that nobody in Florida rolls down their windows because it's too humid, but I bet people ride motorcycles, which have
If you
no
are on
windows
a
to roll down.
motorcycle, the radon is the least of your worries. Like, you're gonna die. Like, you can get in a. So, all the people I know that work in the emergency room that drive motorcycles, they don't even wear helmets because they're like, you know what? If I get when I get in a crash, I just want it to end.
Okay.
I know people have been
So
in
you're saying that
motorcycle crashes and are fine. They just have like a scar on their leg.
I watched a guy get hit on a motorcycle in front of my house when I lived in Keene, and he like went flying down the street, and he got up eventually.
I got hit while on a moped. Like that's why I'm handicapped
So I mean,
to this
like
day.
you can survive a motorcycle crash. I'm not saying that a motorcycle crash will always.
Well,
kill you, but
what you're saying is that
what I'm
because they
saying-
choose to ride a motorcycle, that they ought not be protected from cancerous, hazardous material and radioactive
what I'm
air.
saying is that the cancer, like you can drive on a cancer road, and it doesn't matter because the thing that's going to kill you isn't the cancer road. The thing that's going to kill you is the fact you're not in a steel cage to protect you.
What about convertibles?
So you clearly don't care about safety.
People in Florida have convertibles, I'm sure.
No, it's not that they don't care about safety. It's that they take certain risks and avoid others. Like no one cares 100% about safety because everyone goes outside generally during the day.
So would you if in this case would you approve of the fact that we can put up a giant billboard that says this is a cancer road and it's made with gypsophosphate that can cause cancer, and if you want to drive on this, there's a detour you can take that takes 10 more minutes.
As long as they're not taking my taxpayer money to fund the road.
Cancer from the cancer road.
As long as they're not taking my taxpayer money for the cancer road.
So if it's a privately funded cancer road that has a sign that says.
If Disney
this
made
road
all
will
their
give you
roads
cancer, will
cancerous,
you-
yes, I would just avoid Disney.
And will there be a waiver liability for that?
I wouldn't need it. I would just avoid it, right? And if Disney says like,
No, I mean, like, so if it says like this is the cancer road, can you sue the company for if you get cancer if you drive on the cancer road?
I would think not, because you then are volunteering into the risk.
And the thing is,
Okay.
if this was a private road, there would probably be a lot fewer people choosing to drive on it, and then they would be like, hey, this isn't worth our money as much as if we made things without the cancer road. But since we have government, they can just do whatever they want, and people are just like, well, I guess I have to drive on the cancer road. It's the only option.
I mean, there are plenty of private roads in Florida right now.
Yeah, and if they decided to use gypsum phosphate to build their roads, and they made it known publicly that our roads now are causing cancer, right? Operate your vehicle at your own risk. I would think that the ridership on those roads would go down.
Plus, the other thing is the government takes all of
time,
the
I guarantee you
major
it would not
roads.
Go down.
Maybe, and it might not, right? But people are then going to weigh that risk. If the shortcut is a cancer road and I have AC in my car and no dog farts, right? Maybe I take a risk if I'm in a hurry, right?
I don't think it's going to be just the one cancer road, though. Like, they're testing it so they can put it all over.
Right.
There are people in D.C. that pay $40 per trip to commute to work to avoid traffic. So I think they'd drive on a cancer road.
Yes, they might. And the hypothetical you gave is if it's optional and there's a detour, would I choose to? And the answer is likely no. Would other people take the risk? Yes, because as you noted, there are people who ride motorcycles and don't wear helmets, right? People's risk preferences are different. But if it's a government-funded road and they make it like all of Florida, all new road builds in Florida are these cancer roads, you remove that option because it's no longer private industry.
And luckily, I can always just avoid Florida like I always have. I mean, I've been there when I was
Florida
a kid.
is the freest state.
Okay.
Ooh, ouch.
Objectively.
Not even close.
I've never been there.
Not even close.
been there,
It's number 2, so that would be pretty close.
Yeah, but New Hampshire is consistently more number 1. So, I mean, you can't call it, you can't say it's number 2 and the freest state in the same sentence.
Are all in New Hampshire.
You said it's the freest state and then said it's number 2.
Florida, I've been to New Hampshire. Florida is by far the freest state.
That's subjective. You know, that's
That is
like the
absolutely
definition of subjectively, not objectively.
You can't say it's the freest state. It ranked number 2. Like, that's...
There are people who take
ranked
objective
number 2 by
measurements and put a ranking together, and they say New Hampshire's number 1.
Ranked number 2 by the clearly co-opted views of the Free State Mafia.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got the Free State Project, which cut out Ian from their organization after he got them over the finish line, and yet you think those are the people you want to trust?
No, that's not the people doing. Who's number 1 on your list that you just ranked Florida number 2 in?
The Florida number 1 is the economically most free state by far.
Okay, but you just said Florida is the freest state. Then you said it's consistently ranked number 2. And my question is, whatever your data source
consistently
is,
ranked number 2 on your silly new libertarian rankings.
Oh, okay. So you're using our rankings and then saying it's the freest and number 2, and then rejecting the ranking.
I'm saying that you said that it was objectively not the freest. So it was not even close. I said it's number 2, even by your rankings.
I think the worst thing you said is that it's not even close.
Okay.
I would say maybe it's close, but everything that Matt is saying otherwise just is something emotional about how he doesn't want to admit that New Hampshire is the freest state.
Okay,
and none
fine.
of us were saying Carla Garrick is the
Florida's
reason.
close.
New Hampshire has communist liquor stores. That's the thing I care the most about, is that where can I go to get booze?
There's actually 2 that were grandfathered in that aren't communist liquor stores.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Where are they?
We've got
Milford
2.
and
They're
somewhere else, I
probably in
forget.
Pittsburgh and whatever is next to Pittsburgh.
Okay, I'm just saying, it's not all communist liquor stores. There are free market liquor stores.
Person who the thing they care the most about is alcohol has an opinion. Fork found in kitchen. I don't really care. We have another caller on the line. Unless you guys had anything else you wanted to say to Matt.
No, if it's the freest state and ranked number 2, there's a contradiction there.
Well, we have another caller on the line I definitely wanted to get to. Thank you for your call, Matt. We have Ricky from the Commonwealth. I summoned him. I definitely wanted you to call in, Ricky, because if you disagree with what I said about you, then I would want you to be able to correct it, but that is what I believed, and that's why I asked you to stop calling me sister.
And I want my dash, homie.
If you heard what I'm talking about.
Well, first of all, Miss Bonnie, Sister Laura, Brother Richard, good evening.
Good evening.
Well, it's a really interesting point. Then I have a question to you all. Okay? Now, personally, I believe there's only one race, and that's the human race. But you know what's funny? If you pick up a dictionary, do you know what it says, Miss Bonnie?
A lot of stuff.
Well, no, it does. But that aside,
It's just a list of words in alphabetical order.
No, the definition of racist is that one race believes that they're superior to another, so the dictionary is racist. I'm not. But
do you believe that one race is superior to another?
I do not.
Okay.
Okay, well,
I believe there's only one race, and that's the human race.
Okay. So even by the dictionary definition, you would not consider yourself a racist?
I would not, but the dictionary definitely is.
How so? All it does is define the word. You can choose to use that definition or not.
Because it's like a misnomer, Richie. Anybody with any common sense worldwide knows that we're all of the same race.
I don't believe that.
The human race.
I think
the human race, right.
I think that it's okay to categorize things.
The definition still exists, though. I mean, if we're all one race, then none can be superior than the other, and therefore there's no racists.
You know what gets me? They're all racist. And it's funny here in Pennsylvania.
There can't be racist.
Well, now, what's that?
There can't be racist by your own definition.
There shouldn't be, but there are jackasses. And I will tell you why.
All right, I'll accept that.
Because there are people, like, I don't think about me. I'm a white guy, and I don't think of it.
Don't say.
Yeah, and a lot of people didn't know that for years, till one day it came up because I didn't talk about it.
You're a melanin-deficient human being.
I'm just a guy, I'm just a guy, and that's it. But what gets me is people that have to profess their skin color. That's something I don't understand.
Like you did when you said I'm a white guy.
I think he was just mentioning it for the conversation.
Yeah,
in this,
so.
But I kind of know what he's talking about, and sometimes it is annoying. Like, there's this video that I love that is Sam and Colby's best ghost hunting video where they go to the Sally house in Kansas. And there's this man that's in the video, and me and my sister can't help but notice that he starts every sentence with, "I'm black," and he keeps saying, "I'm black, and I would be running out of here if I saw a ghost." And it's like, everyone
What does that even mean?
It doesn't mean anything.
I find it to be a useful
descriptor. If I would profess my whiteness, if I'd be going out there being lily white and all that stuff, somebody would have a problem with it. But I think it's just silly and stupid, somebody that goes around professing their blackness. I think it's unnecessary. I think they personally have some kind of identity crisis.
It's a useful descriptor, Richie, for like certain applications. Like, if you're like, "Hey, what does Richie look like?" and they were like, "A guy with eyeballs and a beard," like that wouldn't be very useful.
Yeah.
But if you were just like, "Oh, I met this guy and he sold me an orange and he was black," like that has nothing to do with the conversation, so it doesn't need to be there. You know what I'm saying? Like,
but if there's two guys selling oranges and you liked one and one guy's white and one guy's black, and
then
like, which one sold
the black
you the orange?
one, right.
The black one.
Yes, but if it was just the one guy, then you don't need to tell me.
Yeah,
because it's just one guy.
But if it's the one guy robbing a bank and they're looking for him,
then tell me.
There's a big, Miss Laura, there's a big difference between using somebody's skin color as a description in that sense, and then, somebody going out there and...
What was the race of the perpetrator? Human. That's not useful at all.
Story. They won't let me, but I make the joke all the time on these surveys when they ask me what color I am. I say I'm blind. And I am. I really am. The only two people on the show that I know what they look like are Brother Ian and Brother Mark. That's it.
Yeah.
Because you went blind after.
And people who aren't on anymore. Because I could see back then.
Okay.
This is a long story, but here's the big question. Now, right now, I'm sitting here. I'm wearing my battle flag. Does anybody on the show know why I wear that flag?
Actually, I don't.
And it's not because he's racist.
In my opinion, I don't understand why you wear it, because you're from Pennsylvania and you guys betrayed the South
and fought for the North.
Not really. We almost joined the Confederacy.
Almost.
Back in November
So close.
1865. Check it out.
Again, close only counts at horseshoes and hand grenades.
Yeah, that's what I don't understand.
Well,
and
but
then
you know what?
The evil
Miss
North
Bonnie
went and started bullying you guys, and you fell for it and joined them.
Well, but we were caught in the middle really more than anything.
Listen to a history book.
Well, we were caught in the middle more than anything. But the fact of the matter is, there is close ties between Pennsylvania and the South. There always has been. But why do I wear it?
I don't know.
As an individual. Well, I'll tell you, nobody knows. I can't think of any better protest against the federal government than this here battle flag. This one I wear. This one here I wear with the stripes that go along the elongated cross and the border. That was the flag of Lee's army. And I can't think of any more protest that symbolizes secession.
How about the red Jolly Roger?
Flag. Huh?
How about the red Jolly Roger?
Why that one?
What about
it's
it?
It's a pirate flag, and it's take no prisoners.
Well, yeah, but you know what? I don't think it's going to have that kind of oomph with the federal government, you know?
Yeah, but they won't think you're a racist.
I see what your thinking is. You know, the federal government doesn't like this flag. You see, here's an example. It doesn't bother them when the Klan briefly, and they only briefly use this flag. What they use throughout the years is the Stars and Stripes.
Like 4 years.
Huh?
The battle flag was in use for like 4 years or something.
Right, it was nothing.
Right.
And then the Dixiecrats. You had the Dixiecrats. They didn't care about that. But you know who they care about? They care about Ricky from the Commonwealth for the reasons why he wears it. Because I'm looked upon as a troublemaker in their eyes.
You don't say.
Just as you guys would be, you know?
Yeah, but I can fly the black flag. I can fly the black and yellow flag. Right.
What do you mean, the Gadsden flag?
That one too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's another one. And I think, you know what it comes down to?
And no one goes like, man, he's got the Gadsden flag up. Might be a racist.
Well, no, people do.
Yeah, that is a thing now.
Really?
Yeah, people say that about that. The Pine Tree Riot flag, which I also
have
love.
heard things about the Gadsden flag. Miss Bonnie's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you know, and
it's unfortunate.
Everything is racist now.
I don't think people should let that kind of thing, like, just determine what they're going to do.
Well,
anyway.
my car is racist because I got that on my car as a license plate.
Yeah,
Ricky, I wish
you probably drive by people and like, wow, look at that racist.
Serious? Yeah. Okay.
I wish I didn't just say that you are racist. Because the reason is, if I would have said that like 3 years ago, I would have been able to say my reasoning. But I forgot now what you said that made me decide that, and we're not going to figure it out on the air.
I have strong views on slavery when I talk about it. And I haven't.
Listen to the archives.
I don't think I've been back 3 years now. Have I?
I don't know. I just said 3.
Close to it.
Yeah, maybe.
I've heard you say things that also led me to believe that,
and
whether or not I can recall it now is immaterial.
Yeah, I should have said I believe so or something like that. I feel kind of bad. I shouldn't just like make claims that I can't back up, and even in the moment. But I also like the what do you call it? The Southern Cross flag, because of the similar reasons. It's just like people standing up for what they believed in against the giant force of the federal government. And the thing is,
what's interesting, Miss Bonnie?
Yeah.
This is current news, and you're gonna. I don't know. I couldn't find it on Spotify, and I'm gonna look into it on the internet, see if I get it. But I don't think I can get an audiobook copy of your book, unfortunately. But you know what? One thing I will tell you. Something very important. It's very topical. Now, this is topical now.
Make it
now,
quick.
one of the things that Lincoln did.
we can carry on if you want.
Thank you.
The next. Sorry about that.
I warned you.
I didn't want to like waste more time by telling him he was running out of time, so I was just kind of waiting. But we will get back into that, more of this conversation with Ricky, and also with you if you'd like to call 603-283-6160. It's Free Talk Live. More coming up. Don't go anywhere. 603-283-6160. It's Free Talk Live.
This hour of Free Talk Live is brought to you by Dash Digital Cash. Dash is the cryptocurrency designed to be used for spending. Tired of the ever-inflating US dollar? You can live your life on Dash instead with some handy websites. BitRefill.com has been accepting Dash for years and has a ton of big-name retailers and brands including grocers, gas stations, phone refills, Amazon, and even prepaid MasterCards. Plus, many of their gift cards are available at a discount. But what about paying your bills? Spritz.finance can do that, and they can send dollars to your bank account in case you still need those for some reason. Dash is one of the oldest cryptocurrencies and is widely available on exchanges, including the decentralized Maya protocol, and in multi-crypto wallets. It's easy to get and use Dash. Start by learning more at Dash.org. Thanks to the Dash DAO for sending us 32 Dash per month to promote Dash on the air. Visit Dash.org to learn about Dash. Dash.org.
Should you be able to earn an honest living free from senseless government interference? The Institute for Justice thinks so. That's why we've spent years defending hard-working men and women from pointless government regulations. Nationwide, IJ has created opportunity by reducing government power, but there is still more work to be done. Visit our website today at ij.org. Let IJ take care of the government so you can take care of your business.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
The latest episode of Free Talk Live continues with Hour 2 up next after the news, here at listen.freetalklive.com.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Benji Haya. Joe Biden has declared a national day of mourning following the death this weekend of one of his predecessors, Jimmy Carter, the United States' 39th president, who he called a man of principle, faith, and humility. Our US correspondent Mitch McCann reports.
In a proclamation, President Biden declared January 9 as a national day of mourning throughout the United States. In his statement, he called on the American people to assemble in their respective places of worship to honour the memory of Jimmy Carter. He also ordered US flags be displayed at half-staff at the White House, all public buildings and grounds, at military posts and naval stations. A state funeral will be held for former President Carter, a 7 to 10 day event in 3 stages, and will likely include ceremonies in Washington, D.C. and Carter's home state of Georgia.
South Korea has ordered an emergency safety inspection of the nation's entire airline system after a plane crash killed 179 passengers there. The Jeju Air Boeing aircraft successfully touched down at Muan International Airport on Sunday without its landing gear before sliding off the end of the runway and hitting a concrete wall, bursting into flames. Here's aviation expert David Learmont.
To have a hard object about 200 metres or less into the overrun, I think it's verging on criminal to have it there.
Meanwhile, several other airlines have announced the suspension of flights to Russia after Azerbaijan accused the country of shooting down one of its airliners with an air defence system. Trent Murray has the details.
Azerbaijan's president has called on Russia to apologise and pay compensation for allegedly shooting down an Azerbaijan Airlines Embraer jet last week. 38 people died after the jet diverted and crash-landed in nearby Kazakhstan. Amid safety concerns, Israel's flag carrier El Al has announced it is suspending flights to Moscow until at least March.
Russia and Ukraine have exchanged hundreds of prisoners of war in a deal brokered by the United Arab Emirates. And 2024 has been the most deadly on record for migrants trying to cross the English Channel in small boats. 77 people have died attempting to make the journey from France to the UK this year alone. The British government is blaming, quote, ruthless criminals who operate smuggling gangs and exploit those fleeing conflict. Zoe Gardner is a migration policy researcher.
We can have smashed the gangs all we like, but if there is still war in Sudan and there is still the Taliban in Afghanistan, then the UK will still be a destination for safety for some of those people. And if we still keep treating the gangs like they're the root of the problem, then we can arrest one and another one will take their place.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks, looking today in more depth at that awful plane crash in South Korea that claimed the lives of 175 passengers and crew. For Boeing, it comes at the end of a year that has seen the company utterly beleaguered, and the crash may raise fresh concerns. The 737-800 enjoys one of aviation's strongest safety records, but images of the Jeju Air jet landing without its landing gear fully deployed are fueling suggestions that it may not simply have been a bird strike or any other single issue that caused the jet to crash. Alex Macheras is an aviation consultant and hosts the podcast On Air.
This was a Boeing 737-800. One of these aircraft takes off or lands every 2.5 seconds. This specific aircraft used to fly for Ryanair and was later transferred to Jeju Air. The video footage that we have shows the aircraft attempting a belly landing, which is basically a landing without its landing gear extended. It's likely to be a very complex sequence of events, one upon the other, over a short period of time, that each would have contributed to that catastrophic outcome.
Boeing is hoping 2025 will be a turnaround year for its commercial aviation division. There will be nervousness at the company's headquarters in Seattle about what the crash in South Korea portends.
A reminder for you of our top stories. Joe Biden has declared a national day of mourning following the death this weekend of one of his predecessors, Jimmy Carter, the United States' 39th president. South Korea's ordered an emergency safety inspection of the country's entire airline system after a plane crash there killed 179 passengers. And Russia and Ukraine have exchanged hundreds of prisoners of war in a deal brokered by the United Arab Emirates. That's the latest feature story news. I'm Benji Hire in Washington.
A reclusive deity hasn't written a new book in 2,000 years, and a local rescue dog is adopted for a couple weeks. This is the Onion Week in Review. This week, in a devastating blow to the nation's laundry, 16,000 Americans were reportedly stained during the messiest day in U.S. history. Reports confirm that nearly 3,000 citizens received permanent stains on their good shirt from mustard splatter off a dropped hot dog, along with 12,000 cases of spilled coffee and other dark beverages, ruining Americans' pair of hand-wash-only pants. Government officials further indicated that federal assistance for the nation's overwhelmed dry cleaners would be necessary. And in this week's local news, an elderly Rite Aid patron stretches out a conversation about toothpaste to prolong human contact. In other news, artifacts discovered buried in Washington, D.C. suggest humans once passed laws there. A self-centered child blames his parents' divorce entirely on himself. And a night of uninterrupted sleep really throws off a man's entire day.
This is the Onion News Network.
Yep, we still do email. Drop your email address in the entry box at freetalklive.com, and you'll be kept in the loop with Free Talk Live. Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. And that means that you can call 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. And not your keys, not your Bitcoin is the lesson that too many people have learned the hard way. It's best to get your crypto into a wallet that you control, but not all wallets are equal. Many of our hosts have been using Edge Wallet for years to manage crypto, and there just aren't many wallets to compare. Featuring a unique login system that makes it easier for you to access your crypto from multiple devices, Edge is designed to be user-friendly. In a space that can be notoriously difficult for non-tech people, Edge is a valuable tool for novices and experts alike. You can learn more at edge.app, that's edge.app, which features a link at the top for those who wish to learn more about crypto and wallets. Thank you to Edge for sponsoring Free Talk Live, and again, to learn more, visit edge.app. With you on Free Talk Live tonight, you've got me, Bonnie,
Lori,
and Richie Rich.
And we had Ricky from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania on the line in the last segment. I want to let you get out what you were about to say right before the end of that segment there, Ricky.
Well, thank you there, Miss Bonnie. I greatly appreciate it. And you know what? It's okay to call you Miss Bonnie because you know what? It seemed to have caught on over the years with people. You're Miss Bonnie, you know what I mean? You're Brother Ian's wife, you know?
Uh-huh.
It seems to fit. But you
She
know
could be
what I
like
was
Ms.
thinking?
Bonnie.
It's Miss Bonnie.
Wouldn't it be Mrs. since I'm married, but...
It would be Mrs., but you know what? It doesn't have the nice...
It would be Mrs. Ian Freeman.
Style to it, you know?
People have also,
Yeah.
I agree, people started copying you and saying Miss Bonnie. Maybe they're like kind of joking, like riffing off that you call me that, but people started saying it. And then
works
there was
for
Chris
me.
Cantwell that would refuse to say Mrs. Freeman because he said that he wasn't like going to accept that I'm married to Ian. And then he apologized, and he actually wrote me a letter, and he wrote Mrs. Bonnie Freeman
That's
on
wrong.
the letter.
No doubt.
Mrs. Ian Freeman.
Oh wait. Oh yeah. I don't know. I think you could say both.
Okay.
It's like so old-fashioned to say Mrs. Ian Freeman. I don't like that because I don't want somebody to think my first name is Ian. That would be hideous.
Well, it's not. It indicates that you were the wife of Ian Freeman.
I know that, but I
You've
don't
been
want,
sold to your husband.
Yeah.
I don't want somebody to think that my name is Ian though, and
Right.
be like, "Oh,
That's why
she's
you'd be
just a girl
Ms.
named
You'd be
Ian."
Ms. Bonnie Freeman or Mrs. Ian Freeman.
Is Ms. married? I thought it was like an older woman but unmarried.
I think Ms. is
That's
like
exactly what it is. I don't know
is
if
like
it's older.
we don't know if she's married or not.
Oh, I think
Right.
I think you're right. Well,
But
anyways,
Miss definitely indicates single.
so Ricky, but you had something you're about to say in the last segment.
Yeah, I did actually, and you know what I was thinking is, you know, I'm sitting here wearing my battle flag, and you know, I thought I'd say how that's been going. You know, I mean, it's a little over a year now. I've been wearing the battle flag every time I go out.
Should probably wash it every once in a while.
You know how many problems I've had?
How many?
Take a guess.
0?
2.
Oh, I was gonna say you live in the
Only
most
2.
racist
That's all
state.
I've
So
had.
I'm
Well,
just
that's
kidding.
why. That's
I'm just kidding.
of course he wouldn't get accosted in the most racist state wearing a battle flag.
I'm just kidding.
No,
I don't
not
know.
at all. Brother. Oh, that's terrible. Brother Richie.
Bonnie
I don't
said
think
that
that's-
Pennsylvania
can I
is
tell you
like the
something?
most racist state.
I
don't know if-
googled it.
Can I
She
tell you
Googled it.
something? Honestly, can I tell you what? Wherever from my experience in Pennsylvania, where there are these race issues, they're not coming from whites. That's what they're coming from blacks in Pennsylvania. To
From
my
human beings in
experience.
Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I thought there was no such thing as
you're
blacks,
the one that said the description
whites.
stuff.
Okay.
You know, now you're going to be saying it. But, I mean, we got to
It's a useful
differentiate a little
descriptor.
bit.
It's a useful descriptor. I stand by that.
I think there's just nothing wrong with saying we're all human beings, and also the people that I am descended from came from this area and look like this. The people that you're descended from came from this area and look like that. Like, I don't see, it's not offensive in and of itself.
Yes, except the people from the black area was like, well, they bought him in Africa and then humped him over here by ship and then put him to work for
Yeah, but you know
decades.
the problem with that is, Richie, most of those people only hear talking points. They don't look into the whole story of any of these things.
And that's
the
why I
problem.
think that so many people just think that the battle flag, I don't call it that usually, but the Southern flag, in fact, the Confederate flag,
the
there we
Southern
go.
Cross.
The Southern Cross. I think that's why they think it's just equals racism, because a lot of people don't know anything about the Civil War at all. And on top of that, there's a ton of propaganda about it. Like, some people don't even know that there were public and exciting New York City hangings of black people during and before the Civil War. Like, everybody was racist up here too. They didn't want the black people to get free because they get their jobs. That's why people up here also had to be, what's the word, abolitionists, because it's not like
Well,
it was
the
just,
North
oh,
had
everybody in the
twice
North
as many
understood.
slaves.
Yeah, there
The
was
North
slaves
had
too.
twice as many slaves in the South.
The
And they
one-
were all in the military, too.
I don't know if I said this on the air, but I don't really care. The one person my mom has found in my ancestry that had a slave lived in Boston, Massachusetts, and it was an Irish boy.
See?
So not a black person.
And it goes back to like the Irish have generally assimilated into the culture.
But you know what's funny about the whole thing, and I'm getting a little tired of it. You know, I hear it on the news, I hear it other places. Oh, we've been getting it for 400 years. I'm like, did I miss something? You got people playing in the NBA and the NFL. I ain't got any of that. You know, I mean, the reality is it's old news, guys. This is not my fault just because one of my ancestors fought in the Confederacy. That makes me a bad guy. And who says the Confederacy were the bad guys? You got to really look into it, people.
It's because everybody's focused on the wrong thing because they don't want you to be focused on the right thing, which is the class war and not any of these other arbitrary things.
Well, can I tell you something? I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to repeat something I said to Brother Ian, and I said it last year. See, here's how it works. What you do is you get one of these spokespeople, one of these black spokespeople, and they start talking their talk, and the talk is Confederate monuments. and they get a couple followers. And then the federal government's ready to just stand up. Yes, let's tear it down. Let's do it. So what's nice about that is what you get something the federal government wants is to get rid of these because they don't want people looking it up, because the moment you start looking it up, you might find out the truth. But then you get a little black repression at the same time.
I've heard it described as, if you don't know history, you think the Civil War was about slavery. If you do know history, you know that it wasn't about slavery. And if you've studied history, then you know that it really was about slavery.
I don't see why would be the case.
Then you're in the middle.
Well,
I'm not.
I've actually looked into things, and there are also people who are professors that disagree with you, and they've obviously studied history.
Got it.
Like tons of people.
Yeah, but they're academics, so you know what that comes down to? There's people in the public school system that are supposedly educated people, and look at the dribble that they're teaching people. I mean, you know how they approach the Civil War here in Pennsylvania?
I was talking about academics that will tell you that the Civil War was not all about slavery, and definitely not in the bent that people say, because just because everyone was ready to end slavery, they didn't know which way to go about it. And then most people just didn't want the government to mandate how they were going to do it, but slavery was becoming less and less important anyway. Because
that might have been the racist thing.
Mid-year, slavery was going on its way out mid-year.
So you would not, this might have been the racist thing that you've said in the past, Ricky.
You're right, I know what you're going to say.
Do you think that they should have freed the slaves?
I'm going to be completely honest.
Please, because I want to make sure that this is what you said the last time as well.
Once you think about it, Lincoln didn't free anybody, because once they seceded, it wasn't up to Lincoln.
I'm not asking about Lincoln. I'm saying Ricky from Pennsylvania, Ricky from the Commonwealth. Does Ricky from the Commonwealth thinks that they should have freed the slaves?
Ultimately, that was the plan. Jefferson Davis knew it.
Again, don't care about historical figures. I'm going to nail this down. Does Ricky from the Commonwealth thinks that they should have freed the slaves?
I think they should have gradually eased out of it, which is not what happened.
Okay.
Well,
so there's your answer. I guess that would be yes, but I think it should have been gradually eased out of because it was economic. And look what happened.
So not a moral thing for Ricky in the Commonwealth.
You know what happened.
Not a slavery is bad, but that the economics would dictate that some of them should still be maintained as slaves until we figure out a way to something to do with them.
But here's the thing, you know what? Can I tell you something?
Please.
I'm not going to disagree with that part either, because you got to ease out of it, because that's what these people did. Now, Jefferson Davis did mid-war start offering other things, training for the slaves, blacksmithing or whatever. Everybody knew it. It was no secret that it was on its way out. Lincoln didn't care. Lincoln didn't care about the slaves, and the damn war sure as hell wasn't about it. But it was economic, so it was still important. And it had to be eased out of. And look what happened when they didn't do that.
So my question is, why wouldn't your opinion, when Richie Rich is just asking you, in your opinion, should the slaves be freed? What my answer to that would be absolutely no. It was never right. It was never okay for anybody to be a slave of another human being. So do you agree with that, or are you saying that that's not necessarily true, or are you just saying that because the other thing is the government shouldn't be in charge making the people ease out or not ease out?
Right, it should have been up to the South is what it should have been, because they seceded. Did 600,000 people have to die? No. Do you think 600,000 people died because of slavery? The North never freed their slaves.
Would the South
he never did.
If the South could have freed the slaves and remained the South, would the secession been successful?
I think that was already going to happen, because they seceded first. I don't know what Ricky's answer is.
They seceded first and then did not free the slaves.
Well, they seceded, and then like months after that, they got invaded. I don't think that means that that they were never going to free the slaves.
Well, it's a hypothetical.
It was only going to happen that way no matter what, because of economic reasons. And I think that that's kind of what Ricky's trying to say, but I don't know if he's really making much sense to anyone else. In my opinion, it's better said that the slaves were going to be freed no matter what, because it's not that people just got super way more moral all of a sudden. It's more because, I mean, although there were people like Lysander Spooner spreading their ideas, so people were getting more moral as they changed their ideas.
The abolitionist movement.
The abolitionist movement,
something to think about.
But
Richie.
the other thing to think about is the fact that economically, with the invention of the cotton gin and then all kinds of other things after that, it was getting less economically, it made less sense for slavery to be a thing, so it was just going to phase out. And 600,000 people absolutely did not have to die for slavery to not exist today.
Or they'd find something else for the slaves to do, retrain them in some other task. You're no longer picking cotton, you're now like folding boxes at the factory.
I don't see why that would be the case, because they could pay people so little anyways, and there was people that needed jobs, and they didn't want slaves doing it.
If you wouldn't need the jobs, if you're going to have a slave do it.
Right.
That is not the case. That's actually just wrong. The fact that, or the reason that people didn't want slavery to be made illegal who didn't have slaves was actually because then the people who were slaves would be, quote unquote, taking their jobs.
Yeah. That's what they say about the Mexicans. They'll work for less. We can't have them here. We need to expel them from our country.
Yeah, that's just selfish.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean that it's not true that slavery just wasn't actually.
But the business owner choosing between like free labor or paid labor and a profit motive, right, will likely choose the less expensive. Who's
going to sell to? The people that have no money?
No, you sell to the North.
Or you sell it to the black people?
You export it.
The North didn't have slaves because they didn't need it.
Okay.
Anymore.
But you ask who you sell it to. You sell it to people with money. Export it to France. I don't care. I don't care what you do with the product.
It's going to be a lot more expensive to export things way across the country.
Possibly.
Than if you just don't have slavery.
Maybe.
I think you just haven't looked into it. It's like neither of us have like the facts right in front of us, but it's.
Well, I know from a business perspective, like the business owner's goal is to get maximum effort for minimal pay.
I think you just have like a really minimum understanding of something that happened.
No, I'm just talking about businesses in general.
Years ago.
Right? If you can lower your cost of production, then you could either sell for less or make a higher profit. That's just math.
Yeah, but I don't think that you don't understand that like people have to get paid and fed.
No, that's part of the cost of production.
They could be more expensive than the white people working for low amounts. It's like we're not looking at the numbers right in front of us. Neither of us are. So it's like kind of a dumb conversation.
Oh, then you wanted to have it.
It happened in the North. They had slaves before, then they didn't. And they weren't like, oh no, we're broke now. We could have had free labor working on the factories.
Yeah.
So anything else on your mind, Ricky?
There's one interesting thing I wanted to mention. And this is topical, speaking of what happened. And these are the things that people got to look at. And I always say that to understand the Civil War, it's very simple. Just start in 1859. It'll become pretty apparent. But I'll tell you something. It was about 2.5 months before the war. Lincoln, in his infinite wisdom, the warmonger that he was, who wanted this war really bad, he put a 40% tariff on the South, on their cotton and on their tobacco. Which is something the North really wanted. And that's topical now because now we got Trump. Trump is tariff crazy. How is this going to go?
Bad.
It's going to cause turbulence all over the world. I don't know what the hell he expects he's going to get out of this.
I'll tell you what he expects. No, I'll tell you what he expects because he's on record.
Yeah, he did say why he's doing it.
He did say why. It's a threat in order to have the other countries remove their tariffs. Mm-hmm. He's weaponized the idea of tariffs in the hopes that he will not have to use it.
Right.
He knows what it will do. He knows what it will do, and he's hoping that the other countries will back down. That's on record.
That ain't gonna work.
Well, we'll see if he raises. I don't know his exact words, but he was like, if I make the tariffs high enough, either they will call me, or I will call them, and we will sit down and decide whether or not we want to waste all this money, like figuring out all this paperwork, or if we both just want to drop it and let things flow smoothly. Conceptually, that's what he said.
Mm-hmm.
I know cell phones are going to get really expensive.
Maybe, unless China backs down. If he levies the tariff high enough to get the other country to back down, then his threat was effective.
I didn't hear him say necessarily that it was to make other countries lower their tariffs, but it was for things like, oh, this country is threatening us with nuclear war or whatever kind of war.
It was to remove the expense of having to go through the paperwork for the tariffs.
Richie, you have all the answers. Does China have tariffs on us?
Yeah, I don't know for they're industry specific, and I don't know which ones specifically, but yes, that's why he's levying the threat. It's to counter the tariffs, right? But when Americans levy tariffs on other countries, the counter argument is, well, that's bad for American citizens, right? And so China having tariffs on American goods only hurts Chinese people, right? It doesn't hurt the Americans necessarily.
Now, one thing that could happen, this is a real long shot, the way you're describing it. You know, it really is. It's a real long shot.
Yes,
because
but that's what he said.
China might just say, screw it, and nix us out of the market.
Yes. It's not the best strategy.
What I would do.
Right, but that's his theory.
That's what I would do. If I was Xi, that's exactly what I would do.
Yeah, and you might see that.
Flop.
Would you do that if you were China, though? Because how much of their economic viability are they getting from America buying from them?
Quite a bit.
You know,
apparently.
So why would they just cut them out instead of being like, let's just drop it?
Because under communism, there's no profit motive. It's a control narrative.
I mean, there's profit motive for the people at the top, just not for the citizens.
Right, but the people at the top are going to get the money from their citizens no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so China could what's the opposite of the tariff? Shoot, I'm blanking on the word.
The other one where it's like you don't allow trade with the people from that country.
No. When they help the country, when they help the company out, they give them. Yeah, see,
subsidies.
That's the word. Thank you. So China will subsidize. They'll take the money from the taxpayer, and they'll subsidize all of it, so that they come out ahead. Right, because they don't care about their tax base losing money. Like the goal is to hurt their trade opponent in this case. Mm-hmm. So they'll the Americans will put a tariff on Chinese imports. Americans will pay more, right? Because the prices have to go up. That's how the tariffs work.
Right.
And then China will just subsidize everything that will affect the Chinese companies at the expense of their own citizens.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, that's one option. Or us in America will be jackasses and we'll just pay it.
You'll have no choice if you want the goods.
Well, if you want the goods, and that's the problem with the tariff. I mean, damn it, the problem here is all of this is so unnecessary. I wish that we lived in a market where you didn't have any of this.
Right, and the end goal for Trump, right, is to get to that place, and he's weaponizing tariffs because he thinks that's the best way to get there. In his own words.
I think it's dumb. I think Richie thinks it's dumb. Pretty sure that Trump's idea.
I'm not for tariffs.
But we're explaining it to you.
But he asked why is Trump doing this, and that's why.
And I pulled up from ChatGPT really fast all the reasons that Trump said he'll use tariffs. It says Trump argued that tariffs would incentivize companies to manufacture goods within the United States. So that's one. We've heard that before too but he didn't do it last time. He criticized countries like China for taking advantage of the U.S. in trade deals. So I think that's referencing what you're saying, like that they have tariffs on us too. So maybe it will, he said, level the playing field, reducing the trade imbalance. And then Trump claimed that many countries engage in unfair trade practices such as currency manipulation and dumping goods at below market prices.
Which is good for American consumers because you get the product for less. Mm-hmm. It's bad for American companies who are competing in that industry. Right, because now they can't compete. But as a consumer, do I want cheaper Chinese goods or more expensive American goods?
Now I can't buy 10 pairs of leggings on Temu for $3.99.
Right, but you will be able to pay $9.99 for 2 pairs of leggings from an American company.
Yeah, I think I'd prefer that, though, because then they won't have lead in them.
I was about to say,
you already have that choice.
Are we going to be done?
I don't know, though. I was going to say, I saw that there is lead and other, I don't remember what the other one was.
Cadmium, probably.
Other poisons in a bunch of Temu products that were Temu and Shein, which are both Chinese cheap crap.
You
and
can
I'm kinda
already
scared.
pay more for American goods.
I have
There's
a bunch of
lead.
Temu.
There's lead in the clothing dyes. So like, but if you wash your clothes, it will probably not be on your clothes anymore.
One thing that they tested, which really freaked me out, was a sandal. Because I was like, I honestly never thought about it. I probably should start like washing my shoes before I ever wear them, but I've never done that before. You kind of think of that as something that's just like
You can already
clean.
buy more expensive American goods.
Yeah.
You don't have to shop on Temu.
It's true. 603-283-6160. 603-283-6160. Thank you, Ricky, for the call. Anyone can bring up whatever's on their mind. More Free Talk Live coming up. 603-283-6160.
Studies show that more and more teenagers are leaving Facebook, but where are they going instead? Apparently, to the hottest new social media site in years, the comments section of this YouTube video of a deer running in slow motion. Already, its comment section is seeing over 30 million active users. Facebook isn't giving up so easily, incorporating images and videos of deer, elk, reindeer, and even moose into their layout. But teens say that misses the point entirely. In fact, the site's one unwritten rule: don't post anything about the video itself. Teens say that's not cool. But with more and more people swapping over to the comments section of the slow motion deer video by the day, some trend watchers warn it may begin going the way of Facebook.
I was obsessed with it for a while, but now it's just boring. I'm probably going to switch over to Happy Fast Kitchen.
While we don't know for sure, we believe Happy Fast Kitchen might refer to the Yelp page for a Chinese food restaurant in Cleveland, the new social media site where musician Skrillex recently dropped his latest album.
This is the Onion News Network.
From a Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Benji Haya. Joe Biden has declared a national day of mourning following the death this weekend of one of his predecessors, Jimmy Carter, the United States' 39th president, who he called a man of principle, faith, and humility. Our US correspondent Mitch McCann reports.
In a proclamation, President Biden declared January 9 as a national day of mourning throughout the United States. In his statement, he called on the American people to assemble in their respective places of worship to honour the memory of Jimmy Carter. He also ordered US flags be displayed at half-staff at the White House or public buildings and grounds, at military posts and naval stations. A state funeral will be held for former President Carter, a 7 to 10 day event in 3 stages, and will likely include ceremonies in Washington, D.C. and Carter's home state of Georgia.
South Korea has ordered an emergency safety inspection of the nation's entire airline system after a plane crash killed 179 passengers there. The Jeju Air Boeing aircraft successfully touched down at one international airport on Sunday without its landing gear, before sliding off the end of the runway and hitting a concrete wall, bursting into flames. Here's aviation expert David Learmont.
To have a hard object about 200 metres or less into the overrun, I think it's verging on criminal to have it there.
Meanwhile, several other airlines have announced the suspension of flights to Russia after Azerbaijan accused the country of shooting down one of its airliners with an air defence system. Trent Murray has the details.
Azerbaijan's president has called on Russia to apologise and pay compensation for allegedly shooting down an Azerbaijan Airlines Embraer jet last week. 38 people died after the jet diverted and crash-landed in nearby Kazakhstan. Amid safety concerns, Israel's flag carrier El Al has announced it is suspending flights to Moscow until at least March.
Russia and Ukraine have exchanged hundreds of prisoners of war in a deal brokered by the United Arab Emirates. And 2024 has been the most deadly on record for migrants trying to cross the English Channel in small boats. 77 people have died attempting to make the journey from France to the UK this year alone. The British government is blaming, quote, ruthless criminals who operate smuggling gangs and exploit those fleeing conflict. Zoe Gardner is a migration policy researcher.
We can have smashed the gangs all we like, but if there is still war in Sudan and there is still the Taliban in Afghanistan, then the UK will still be a destination for safety for some of those people. And if we still keep treating the gangs like they're the root of the problem, then we can arrest one and another one will take their place.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
Got Telegram? You can follow our channel there and discuss show prep with other listeners at telegram.freetalklive.com.
Talk Live, talk radio that you control. And 603-283-6160 is the phone number. That's 603-283-6160. And I'd like to thank Evan for being an amplifier with us here at Free Talk Live. That means that Evan went to amps.freetalklive.com and signed up to support the show. AMPS stands for Advertise, Market, Promote, and Support. Thanks to Evan and everyone who supports us. And again, that's amps.freetalklive.com if you'd like to check out the perks and benefits of becoming an amplifier. And with you on Free Talk Live tonight, you've got me, Bonnie,
Lori,
and Richie Rich.
And we have a caller on the line, so I'm going to go straight to the callers. Turd Ferguson, also in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is a very special place. What's on your mind? That's what Ricky says.
Yeah, I think Ricky from the Commonwealth, I think it's dumb how he pretends to be Robert E. Lee of the Confederate Army. I think that's really stupid. But whatever, to each his own, I guess. I see Laurie on the TV right now. She's looking pretty sexy with those bangs. Kind of like it. Yeah.
The amount of teasing I've already given Lori for the bangs, he just negated.
Oh, you said she looks sexy with the bangs. I'm glad you told her that because it feels like you were uncertain about them at first, but I really like them. The bangs.
Yeah, I really like. Yeah, I think they're sexy, and yeah, she's looking pretty hot.
Thanks.
Now I'm questioning how hot this gym chick is.
What does that mean?
Well,
because Richie says my bangs are bad.
Oh, you don't like the bangs?
No, I'm not a big fan of bangs.
Oh, I see him. Well,
dude, I love bangs on women mostly. Usually, it just depends.
Women with straight enough hair look really good with bangs, in my opinion.
Okay.
But I hate the bangs that are like up to here.
It's a personal preference.
By
it's
that
fine.
I mean like 1 inch long bangs. They actually make that,
Okay.
That's crazy.
Well, Laurie, if you want to send me some selfies on
your sexy bangs,
on Element on the Matrix server,
of course.
Feel free if you want.
Send them a link to OnlyFans.
Just take a picture of just my bangs.
Make them pay.
Were you listening to the show last night when Turd was like, "There's a sexy lady with a big butt in her pants," and Stu was like, "I hope it's in her pants."
Why? If it's that sexy, you want it hanging out of the pants.
No, I think he was saying like the way Turd said it made it sound like it's like she has this big butt. Oh, and it's connected to her lower back. Where else would it be?
No.
It's in the front. It's a front butt.
This is what I said. I said
got a moose
2
knuckle.
half watermelons in her pants.
Watermelons in her pants.
2 half watermelons in her pants. Okay.
That sounds extremely uncomfortable.
Sounds just nasty. I don't know. Imagine the swamp butt.
I'm just saying it looks like 2 half watermelons. I'm just saying it's not. That's obviously not what they are. They're butt cheeks. But
no one thought they were something else. No one thought they were really watermelons in her pants.
What? If she could get a pair of watermelon pants on Temu, imagine that look.
Yeah, I hate that app. Yeah, the Temu app sucks.
I have an
awesome
product from Temu.
I gotta say though, I did recently on Temu. I got this thing for the desk in my office. It's like this. It's kind of like this very flat snow globe kind of, and it's like sand. It looks
so
like
it's for
sand.
flat earthers.
No.
Oh,
snow disc.
Like the
snow
dome.
disc.
Decorative thing for
It's
my
a flat
desk.
snow globe.
It's just for decoration.
Yeah,
looks
but
like
it's
sand.
cool. It's like when you you can turn it upside down and stuff, and then when you turn it upside down, the sand looking stuff starts pouring down. It looks like the dunes of Arrakis. You know what I mean? It's I've got it in my hands right now.
At least I admit
It was
that
an ant farm with no ants.
Yeah, at least I admit that my Temu product is a toy, and yours is just like a glorified toy.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if I'd go that far, but I'll put a picture in it a little bit in the Matrix server so you can see what I mean.
Trade it for a picture of Laurie's bangs.
But once I saw that there is like poison in Temu and Shein products, I got kind of scared of my little toys. It's like these little surprise bags where you can open a different little figurine out of them. It'll be like, oh, I got a little pink kitty today. And now I'm scared that they're just like poisoning me.
I didn't open, like you gave me the rest of those, and I haven't opened them. I bought like lead testing things so I can test them for lead.
That's smart.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, so I've been off the anabolics, the TRT, for a couple months now. I started taking.
Is your body able to make it naturally then? Because I keep hearing this argument that if you go on TRT, then your body will stop being able to make testosterone naturally, and I'm just like, I don't know if that's true. Do you know?
Well, that's nonsense. Because, and I'll explain why in a second. But before I started on the natural supplement, my testosterone levels are just back to exactly what they were before I started TRT. So that's just nonsense, and it's not true. And that's why I would never listen to the people in the Matrix server, especially Cocktail. I mean, they just don't know what they're talking about.
I wasn't listening to them. It's a group chat that I'm in with other free staters, which is called like Fit Porcupines, and
sure,
they were having this conversation. But that's good intel, honestly.
Right,
I would still do the research because I heard the opposite, and I trust the opposite.
I'm not looking into doing it, but
you shouldn't.
It just interests me.
I've never met a fit, in-shape Lolbertardian in my lifetime. So that's how you know the fit porcupines are nonsense. But this is
they run a gym in Manchester.
Yeah, they are. There is a bunch of them, and they are like lifting big weights.
It's like a powerlifting gym.
Stu's in like amazing
I almost
shape.
joined.
Because he
then they're
builds houses.
Well, then they're not. They're clearly not Lolbertardians because
but they all are.
Fit Lolbertardians.
I know you're making a joke, but like the listeners that don't know, he's saying libertarian in a making fun of them way, like lolbertarian, which is like, it's more cringy when you say it than when they be it.
Well, I mean, by that response, then it's just a definitional thing, right? If lolbertarians can't be fit, right, then anyone who fits does not fit the definition and therefore can't be a lolbertarian.
Lolbertarians isn't the word; it's Lolbertardians. Because
my apologies.
Yeah. Don't upgrade them to what they actually are. But what I take now though is Fedosia agrestis 600 milligrams, and Toncol E is 400 milligrams. You take the two together.
So what you're saying is you stop the TRT, but you're on some other kind of exogenous hormones, or is it like a herb?
No, it's not. They're just natural herbs that increase your testosterone naturally, and I think it's really working.
So, but you're back to baseline, and meaning if you would have never taken TRT and you took these herbs, you might be even higher.
No, I was back to baseline before I started taking the herbs, and I haven't gotten
herbs are doing nothing
yet. Huh?
So are the herbs doing nothing? You're just at baseline?
No, I haven't. No,
Which direction did you get back to baseline?
I haven't gotten I haven't gotten my new levels yet from after. What happened was I stopped taking the TRT and I got tested after. And my testosterone levels are back to normal, back to baseline, what they were before.
And that's pause right there because I want clarification. Back to baseline from being elevated, or back to baseline from being lowered?
Back to baseline from what they were before I started.
Which is like TRT. What? Because I know like 800 is high, 200 is low.
Yeah, it was my baseline for me was in the high fives.
Okay, so that's healthy.
And you were on TRT and it went up to what?
Significant. Like I was too high.
Okay, and then you got off the TRT and then you got back down to baseline.
Yeah, now I'm back down to baseline, and then
so you've never dropped below baseline throughout the process. Okay.
No, never started. Yeah, and now I'm taking the natural herbs, Fedosia agrestis with Toncol E, which I heard Andrew Huberman talking about on the Joe Rogan podcast. And I gotta say, I feel pretty good. One thing that I was afraid of, I didn't want to lose my permacup status. You know what I mean?
No one has ever explained this to me. I've only seen
I mean, I know what he means, but
I've only ever heard the trolls say that word, and I asked Ian, and he didn't know, and then I never did any more research into it.
I'm a degenerate, I guess.
Lori, can you explain it on air without violating rules?
When the male organism gets aroused, like things tighten.
Okay.
So that's what he means.
But not the shaft, but the balls?
Yeah.
Okay. That's so stupid.
That's correct.
Why do you want that?
Lori has it. It's basically when your cremaster muscle basically like just stays tight.
Could be a problem if you're supposed to not stay tight. Like it's like there's this idea within women that like, oh, doing Kegels all the time is just like so good for you. Oh, it's extra good, but no other muscle needs to be tightened all the time, and actually you need to relax it as well.
Yeah, but it makes me feel more manly, and it makes me feel good. It makes me feel real good, like. And I gotta say,
you can overdo Kegels and ruin yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
well,
part of it is like flex and release, right? You're not just holding it there.
Right.
Yeah. By the way,
You're doing it wrong,
it's
buddy.
not 100% of the time like it was on TRT, but it's like 85, 90% of the time now. And I've also gotten some enlargement from these herbs.
Okay, sure.
So which you'd think would make things lower, you know what I mean? But they haven't. They're still tight there, you know what I mean?
No
So,
offense, but I
feel
don't really
nice and
believe you.
manly-like.
I feel like if these herbs, I hate when people say herbs. Either
There's
way,
an H.
it doesn't matter.
Pronounce
It's
the
silent.
H.
You don't
It's
say
herbs.
honest.
White.
You don't say
White.
honest.
Cool Whip.
Well, anyways,
You're being weird.
if this was true that
There's no H in that one.
I know.
if this was true that these herbs were making anything larger, they'd be like world famous. Every single man would
Oh,
take
they
them.
are. I mean, even
It's on
even
Joe
Andrew
Rogan show.
Huberman talked about on the Joe Rogan podcast.
See?
I mean, look, anybody that's really taken the time to read up about this stuff agrees that Tongkat Ali mixed with Fadogia agressus, the two together, will cause testicular enlargement.
Oh, that's okay. No one cares about that. Like women don't care about that.
Yeah, sure. They don't.
That episode of South Park where they have the
Yeah,
the
right.
hippity hops.
And all the women were like looking at it.
Oh,
They're like, oh
they're
my
jumping
God.
on him like the exercise ball.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Yeah, but I just recommend that. I mean, and there might come a time later. Well, I'll go back on TRT like once I'm like really old, like I'm really old. Like,
Well, why did you do it before? Like, what was the purpose if you were completely healthy levels before?
Because, Bonnie, I got serious goals in life. I mean, I'm going to be a big shot music producer. What, do you want me to have, like, low T when I'm a music producer? How's that going to work?
So you had high T and yet you couldn't even approach a girl at your gym?
Well, that's not the
Physical
reason I
versus
couldn't-
mental problems.
That's not the reason I didn't approach a girl at the gym.
Because her boyfriend had higher T.
Maybe. I don't know. I hope not. Well, yeah, they can definitely smell it. Girls can smell testosterone.
No, I was saying you could smell her boyfriend's testosterone, and that's why you stayed far away from his woman.
I'm not peeing on this fire hydrant.
Well,
That's a big dog.
Yeah, that's a good thing. I mean, I perceive him as a threat because it's the masculine. Like,
But every time you
stay
called
away
in
from me.
before, you were saying he's a beta and you can do better than him, and now you're saying you perceive him as a threat.
Well, I think I'm definitely handsomer than him. Lori, am I more handsome this guy in your opinion?
Have you
that,
seen both?
that girl's boyfriend? Yeah, he's
Yeah.
not attractive at all.
I need to see him, but
I'll show you.
Okay, thanks.
I'd also need to see Turd
Yeah.
because I don't know what Turd looks like either.
I
Yeah,
have a
you do.
general idea of what Turd looks like.
I mean, I've also
I'm
flushed.
extremely handsome and masculine. So yeah, so shut it.
As long as you have to tell people that.
I feel like you could easily trick me in a lineup. Like
My
if
mom
Turd,
says,
if I had to pick Turd in a lineup, you could find many people look enough like him where I'd be like, honestly, I don't know which one is him.
my mom
That's
says I'm the most
bullcrap.
handsomest
Common
boy
lore.
she's
You're
ever met.
You're lying to suck up to Arya, who's not even there right now.
What does that have to do with Arya? I didn't know Arya has like said anything similar. Legitimately, I didn't know.
Do you look like
No,
Arya?
no, you're just sucking up to Arya.
I don't even
But
know
okay.
how that's possible. She's not listening.
What does that have to do with any of this?
We'd mistake Arya for Turd Ferguson in a lineup.
Well, that's another reason why Bonnie pretends that my beats aren't amazing because she wants to suck up to Arya. Too,
If Arya agrees, I had no clue. Legitimately no clue. Like if she said
Yeah.
that even in
Yeah.
front of me, I didn't remember. I don't remember.
Like you're name dropping her, but not really giving an explanation, and I don't want to have to reach out to Arya and go like, "Why is Turd Ferguson talking about you?"
All right, well, I wouldn't carry it away, but All right, well, you guys have a good night. All right.
You too. Have a good night, Turd. Thanks for the call. Skeeter in, I think, California. Skeeter.
It's your boy, the living
Such a
man.
horrible noise.
Young Skeet.
Oh, Skeeter's voice, I agree.
Hey, guess
What's
what?
on your mind?
I just finished the greatest comedy of all time.
What does that mean? Like
It's
finish
called-
He
watching it?
reread his diary.
Nice.
It's
Well
called
played.
The Jones Plantation. I actually watched that crap.
The movie
It's
or the
it's
YouTube
almost-
video? Because
It's funny-
I watched the
Both.
YouTube video. just to be on the same page as you.
Oh, you did. I was gonna say it's funny because he, like last time, he was the one that had seen it most recently and was trying to school us on it. And
It's
actually,
like 12 minutes.
I've never even seen it.
Okay.
I have had it explained to me by I think you and
free.
Riley.
Well, so is the movie. If you know where to get it,
you can get around the.
And everyone has to consume every single free thing on the internet.
Although I meant to buy the DVD just to support Larkin Rose. I just haven't gotten around to it yet.
Well, he's violating Kinsella's IP theory. But anyways, I wanted to talk about how bad an analogy it is. It's almost as worse as Lori's analogy and how you reject premises like sandwiches. Oh my god!
What?
But I just want to.
reject
I want to
sandwiches?
talk about.
Yeah, what does that even mean?
Well,
I
Laura
reject
said you can
boys
reject
like sandwiches. Yeah, like that doesn't mean anything.
It's a totally out of context thing that doesn't make sense to anyone unless you go back and listen to the show. And I'm not going to sit here and like recite our entire conversation to get to that
I see.
point.
I was gonna say
it's just
it
it's
makes
a
sense to you?
skeeterism. It's a
Okay.
skeeterism.
Oh, we
know
have
how to use it.
skeeterisms now?
Yeah.
Where's the soundboard?
I don't have it yet.
All right, so you watch the movie, and it's a bad analogy because... Skater.
Did he leave?
This is your chance.
Oh, maybe it did drop him because I see it on there, but I don't hear him.
Skeeter. Drop him anyway. This is our chance.
I guess it.
Seize the moment.
It was the hand of God reached down and saved us from Skeeter.
Oh.
Okay.
Well, I think that a way more interesting conversation anyway is this story that Lori brought in. I don't know if you had the same source, but this is from vocal.media/earth. Oh, wait, no, sorry. Vocal.media is the website. And then the story is only feminism can prevent global warming. And I'm just so confused because like the biggest word on this website is Earth. So the website's not called Earth. It's vocal.media.
If the biggest word is Earth, it's definitely for feminists.
So Skeeter's calling back. I think I should let him back on because
Fairness and all of that. yeah.
Privileges of first chair.
Yeah.
Do what you want.
He didn't finish what his point was, and the thing is, Skeeter, if you're gonna bring up the same exact point you brought up before, it's just boring. But if you have something
watched
new
the
to say,
he watched the movie. So
yeah,
let's-
if you have something new to say,
Yeah,
let's hear it.
I want to talk about how Rich misrepresented his interpretation of the movie.
I thought I
first
accurately
off,
described the events of the movie.
No, you didn't. You said, first off, Jones graciously gave the plantation to the slaves, right?
I mean, I wouldn't say graciously gave it to the slaves, but the premise is he
didn't
set
have to.
them free in words to make
Yeah.
sure that they stayed on the plantation.
We'll get to that in a bit in your misrepresentation about that slave who left. But first, you agree that it is gracious giving it to them if he did let them free, right? He didn't have to. There's no positive obligation to give him that plantation, right?
Right.
A newborn doesn't have any rights to the U.S. territory, too, right? That's a good analogy.
Go on.
But anyways,
I mean,
let's talk
he
about,
set them free
reading.
in words, right? And he said, like, I set you free, and then, but you now own part of this plantation, and you ought to stay and work on it. Oh, and by the way,
How
if you
is it just in
leave,
words?
you're going to get captured by another
Yeah.
slave plantation owner.
No, you. So let's talk about what happened in the movie. Why did the slave who left? Why did he get recaptured as a slave?
Because his
trespassing.
master paid the neighboring slave owner to capture him and return.
No, he was trespassing.
No,
Was he not?
they exchanged money in the movie.
You're the one that just watched the movie,
No, they
Skeeter.
didn't.
They did.
They didn't.
When they went to go pick him up,
exchanged
he got paid for returning him.
Yeah, only after he got caught trespassing. Yes or no?
No.
He first off,
It was an
he
agreement to capture him and return.
Why is Skeeter unsure about what he just watched?
Between the two slave owners.
No,
You might be able to
I'm sure.
justify it
let
as
me describe-
trespassing.
Let me describe what exactly happened to Bonnie, right? So the slave got his free papers and left the plantation, right?
Yes.
He trespassed on another person's plantation, and that plantation owner caught him and took his papers from him, and then later sold him back to his first plantation.
I mean,
right?
you're partially.
That's exactly what happened.
Just because you if somebody is like on your property, you have the right to kick them off, but
He's
not
not-
to steal from them.
He's not wrong, but it's a misrepresentation because the
That's not a misrepresentation.
I'm going to tell you why it's a misrepresentation. Because if you watch the part of the movie where they do the exchange, right, there was an agreement between Mr. Jones and the neighboring slave plantation owner where he asked for him to be captured, told him where he was going to be and what route he was going to take, and then paid him for their return. They had an agreement ahead of time to recapture this slave because they knew he was going to walk and be set free.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to rationalize that by saying he was captured for trespass, fine. Right, but it's a misrepresentation of the agreement between the two slave plantation owners.
So let me ask you, Rich. Let me analogize this: if I pay someone to capture you, if you trespass on their land, did I really violate any NAP? Did I really violate the NAP or anything?
If you pay someone
to violate the NAP against you, well, I think that you are a little less. The thing is, okay, you paid somebody to do a thing, so you are, you and that person are both guilty of.
I'm paying someone
aggressing against Richie Rich.
I'm paying someone to exercise one of their natural
you're
rights.
right. It's to remove somebody from your property, but not to steal from them and steal them
and sell them back to the slave owner.
So here's another problem with the NAP, Bonnie. Like when you own land,
you didn't even give me one good one. But go ahead.
When you own land, you should be free to set all the rules on that land, including.
No, you shouldn't be free to kill someone because they wander onto your property without any warning, for example. Like if somebody wanders onto your property and you meet them there, you can meet them, point a gun at them, tell them to leave, and if they don't, then they didn't leave, and then it made sense why you shot them. But you can't just say, this is my property, anybody who even steps on this land is gonna get exploded by a nuke.
You're right. You are right that it's a violation of freedom, and the penalty needs to be commensurate with the crime, and killing someone or enslaving them for a minor trespass would not fly in any society.
Yeah,
that's not going to happen, and no one's advocating for that.
If somebody trespasses on my land right now, they are just walk onto my property right now, I can ask them to leave, but that doesn't mean I can enslave them, kill them, maim them.
The definition of ownership.
Especially not without warning.
In Ancapistan, it's okay to shoot a girl who picked a flower from your yard. Like, nobody thinks that. It's just an extreme example that people like Skeeter bring up to try to negate the property rights. And they're like, okay, fine. Yes, there was a violation. She stole your flower. Right? But what's the punishment for such a crime? Is to make you whole on the flower, not to kill, maim, or enslave.
So, Sarah, do you have anything for us that you can kind of summarize quickly?
Oh, I just want to say that the one that got signed up with me, she took her vitamins and she said, I don't feel anything different. I don't see anything different, but I'm like, your tummy's going away. You're getting a figure. You're like looking really good. Your skin's better. It's like,
should put her on church vitamins.
Whoa. How could she have not noticed that she's getting skinny, her skin's getting better? Is it noticeable, like really obvious?
Think about it when you see yourself every day in the mirror versus when you see someone after like 3 weeks or a month or 3 years.
Well, the thing is that, here's the thing is that she knows that her tummy was getting smaller, but her weight is the same.
Is she doing something else that she attributes that to?
Well, you could be gaining muscle mass and losing the fat, and you still have the same weight.
But you don't gain muscle mass from eating vitamins. That's not how muscles work.
If you do exercise and take your supplements.
If you exercise,
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like if this woman's saying she doesn't even feel any better, I tend to believe her that she doesn't feel better. And I feel like if you were overweight and you lost like a noticeable amount of weight, you would start to feel better. So, I don't know. And yeah, Lori's right. You don't gain muscle mass just from eating something. 603-283-6160. It's Free Talk Live. More coming up.
Excuse me, is this where I get a license to start a new business?
I wouldn't be hasty. You have to get a license to go out of business, too, you know.
Oh, well, look, I've invented this little anti-gravity machine, see?
Is that why you're walking 2 inches above the floor?
Oh, yes, it's very comfortable. It saves on shoe leather.
Yeah, well, you have to fill out these forms and report to the Human Services Department of Manpower Orientation and register with the Fair Employment Practice Commission, the Wage and Hour Division of the Employment Standards Administration, the State Sales and Income Tax Division, the Internal Revenue Service, and the Social Security Administration of the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare, and, of course, OSHA.
OSHA? I thought that was a little town in Wisconsin.
You'll find out. Say, floating around like that could be dangerous. Have you checked with the Consumer Product Safety Commission?
Well, not yet.
Come to think of it, you actually are flying, aren't you? Look, you need to go over to the Federal Aviation Administration and the Transportation...
It's very hard to get anything done these days if you're in business, but free enterprise built this country. Think what could happen if we don't keep it free. A public service of this station and the Center for the Defense of Free Enterprise, Bellevue, Washington.
We just can't have people floating about unregulated, you know.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm.
The latest episode of Free Talk Live continues with Hour 3 up next after the news here at listen.freetalklive.com.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Benji Haya. Joe Biden has declared a national day of mourning following the death this weekend of one of his predecessors, Jimmy Carter, the United States' 39th president, who he called a man of principle, faith, and humility. Our US correspondent Mitch McCann reports.
In a proclamation, President Biden declared January 9 as a national day of mourning throughout the United States. In his statement, he called on the American people to assemble in their respective places of worship to honour the memory of Jimmy Carter. He also ordered US flags be displayed at half-staff at the White House or public buildings and grounds, at military posts and naval stations. A state funeral will be held for former President Carter, a 7 to 10 day event in 3 stages, and will likely include ceremonies in Washington, D.C. and Carter's home state of Georgia.
South Korea has ordered an emergency safety inspection of the nation's entire airline system after a plane crash killed 179 passengers there. The Jeju Air Boeing aircraft successfully touched down at one international airport on Sunday without its landing gear, before sliding off the end of the runway and hitting a concrete wall, bursting into flames. Here's aviation expert David Learmont.
To have a hard object about 200 metres or less into the overrun, I think it's verging on criminal to have it there.
Meanwhile, several other airlines have announced the suspension of flights to Russia after Azerbaijan accused the country of shooting down one of its airliners with an air defence system. Trent Murray has the details.
Azerbaijan's president has called on Russia to apologise and pay compensation for allegedly shooting down an Azerbaijan Airlines Embraer jet last week. 38 people died after the jet diverted and crash-landed in nearby Kazakhstan. Amid safety concerns, Israel's flag carrier El Al has announced it is suspending flights to Moscow until at least March.
Russia and Ukraine have exchanged hundreds of prisoners of war in a deal brokered by the United Arab Emirates. And 2024 has been the most deadly on record for migrants trying to cross the English Channel in small boats. 77 people have died attempting to make the journey from France to the UK this year alone. The British government is blaming, quote, ruthless criminals who operate smuggling gangs and exploit those fleeing conflict. Zoe Gardner is a migration policy researcher.
We can have smashed the gangs all we like, but if there's still war in Sudan and there is still the Taliban in Afghanistan, then the UK will still be a destination for safety for some of those people. And if we still keep treating the gangs like they're the root of the problem, then we can arrest one and another one will take their place.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks, looking today in more depth at that awful plane crash in South Korea that claimed the lives of 175 passengers and crew. For Boeing, it comes at the end of a year that has seen the company utterly beleaguered, and the crash may raise fresh concerns. The 737-800 enjoys one of aviation's strongest safety records, but images of the Jeju Air jet landing without its landing gear fully deployed are fueling suggestions that it may not simply have been a bird strike or any other single issue that caused the jet to crash. Alex Macheras is an aviation consultant and hosts the podcast On Air.
This was a Boeing 737-800. One of these aircraft takes off or lands every 2.5 seconds. This specific aircraft used to fly for Ryanair and was later transferred to Jeju Air. The video footage that we have shows the aircraft attempting a belly landing, which is basically a landing without its landing gear extended. It's likely to be a very complex sequence of events, one upon the other, over a short period of time, that each would have contributed to that catastrophic outcome.
Boeing is hoping 2025 will be a turnaround year for its commercial aviation division. There will be nervousness at the company's headquarters in Seattle about what the crash in South Korea portends.
A reminder for you of our top stories. Joe Biden has declared a national day of mourning following the death this weekend of one of his predecessors, Jimmy Carter, the United States' 39th president. South Korea has ordered an emergency safety inspection of the country's entire airline system after a plane crash there killed 179 passengers. And Russia and Ukraine have exchanged hundreds of prisoners of war in a deal brokered by the United Arab Emirates. That's the latest feature story news. I'm Benji Hire in Washington.
Police in Lehman, Michigan describe a local student's recently foiled plans to commit a deadly school shooting as, quote, embarrassingly bad. Authorities apprehended 17-year-old Trent Bayer Thursday after finding him in an empty hallway struggling to load a pathetically small caliber pistol while simultaneously attempting to unfold an inaccurate map of the school. Lehman Police Chief Ethan Holman elaborated several ways Bayer's strategy could have been more effective, including setting off a homemade explosive in the teacher's lounge, executing popular students first, and at the very least purchasing some military fatigues.
You're not going to intimidate anyone by wearing a tucked-in button-down shirt and pleated trousers.
In other news, a jar of change on a dresser is sadly factoring into a number of financial decisions. A teen zebra doesn't give a shit how much you honk, it's not getting out of the road. And Dad's new 20-year-old Thai boyfriend really sucks at categories. And don't forget to never ever drink Pepsi Cola, whose dipshit marketing team backed out of a full-page ad buy at the last minute. For more news, visit theonion.com/newsbeat.
Our Matrix server is about as free as internet chat can be. Join the existing rooms or create your own at chat.freetalklive.com. Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control, and 603-283-6160 is the phone number. That's 603-283-6160, and we've been podcasting since podcasts began, but we're launching a new podcast anyway. Our new podcast is a 30 to 45-minute show releasing once a week, and you can find it at freetalkcast.com. It's brought to you by the same people who bring you Free Talk Live, and we'd love for you to check it out. The existing radio archive isn't going anywhere. This is just a new show designed from the start to be a podcast, so check it out at freetalkcast.com. With you on Free Talk Live tonight, you've got me, Bonnie,
Lori,
and Richie Rich, who was going to be on the latest Free Talk Cast. I was invited back.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it made the feed yet, but Aria's doing her editing and whatever, but I'm this week's.
What was the topic?
Luigi Mangione.
Oh, nice.
So we have a caller, not sure who it is. Unscreened caller, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind? Oh, they hung up. So
bye.
Some people do that. I think they think that this is like the way to listen to a show. You can always listen at listen.freetalklive.com.
Get the internet, weirdos.
And there are other ways to do it.
Now you can't even listen.
there's not just like one way to listen. Once you get to listen.freetalklive.com, there's multiple different options. But in the last segment, we started bringing up this story from what looks like vocal.media is the name of the website.
Feminists.
And they say only feminism can prevent global warming.
Only you can prevent forest fires.
That's the funniest headline. Like, what does feminism have to do with global warming?
Guys don't care about the planet.
This is what I'm going to think. This is my guess. Just going into it. They're going to say like, well, women, they care more. And that's going to be about the gist of it.
Yeah, like when they buy all those disposable razors and hairspray and everything comes in single-use plastics and they care about the environment.
I'm a guy. I don't care. It's only like 2 reasons to leave the house. To get laid and to get paid, and that is it.
But guys are much lower consumerism, I think, than women on average.
Okay.
Women buy a lot of clothes, buy a lot of makeup, perfume, lotions.
And all those
17
tampons.
bottles of shampoo at once. Tampons or whatever.
Oh, yeah. The bathroom's ridiculous.
I refuse the fake
fake
tampons. I refuse the tampons that are just like a cup and you can reuse it. Like, I tried it once and it's just incredibly weird.
Okay.
Not
I don't
a
have
good
to deal
idea.
with any of that. It's great.
Does it have like a measuring line so you know how much you filled it?
I don't know. I don't remember now.
Okay.
I haven't tried it in like 3
That'd be
years.
weird.
And
I have no idea. It does. I never used one. Like, it does seem really weird.
When it's in there, you can totally feel it all day.
I assume.
And people are like, it's amazing.
It's
You
not
can't
a
even
pocket.
feel it. Like, it's like, maybe you have a different, thing than me.
It's not my fault I have a wide set vagina. What is that?
Yeah.
Oh, Mean Girls, yeah.
Mean Girls, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
And
maybe,
also Curb Your Enthusiasm.
maybe the girls with a wide set vagina can't feel it, but whatever. So I don't like those things. So yeah, I'm going to be thrown away. But one thing I can say is that my tampons don't have the plastic applicator because what's the point of that? Like, you can just put it in.
I'll take your word for it. Have you ever soaked it in vodka to get drunk
No.
later? Okay.
In fact, I feel like that would hurt. Like,
I feel like that would also hurt. Yeah.
And like mess up your
It was a
pH
thing.
balance.
Oh yeah, don't people put it that in, don't they boof with that? I don't know.
I don't know what that means.
I think put it up your butt.
Oh, okay.
And I think
That's one
that's
other
like
option, yes.
wildly dangerous though, because you have a big vein there and you can easily become alcohol poison.
Well, wildly dangerous, but when you're underage trying to get into a concert and you're not going to be able to get alcohol, you're left with these options.
You just, if you're a girl, you just hide it under your boobs.
Okay.
So-
If you're underage, I don't know how big of boobs you got to hide it under.
Depends on how underage you are.
Depends.
Even if you're underage.
So
you don't have
Asian
big
chicks, you know
boobs.
what to do.
Well, if you don't have big boobs, you can always just wear one of those like thick bras, and you look like
Okay.
you have like somewhat of a boob.
Right,
and-
just put them in a big bra and then be like, I have big boobs now. And then when you leave the concert, you won't have boobs anymore because it was all alcohol.
If you're someone related to you is the person letting people into the venue, that's the only way, I guess. They
Just
they
be
know
like,
how big
stop
your boobs
checking me
are."
out, you weirdo. Why are you looking at me like that?
Yeah.
I once had
good
to
point.
vouch for a buddy of mine going into a rave because the line was so long to get in, and he pre-gamed the whole time that by the time we got to the front, they're like, no, he can't come in. Like, bro, we waited. Like, I will stand by him. He's like, no, I can't come in. I'm like, trust me, dude. Like, look at me. I'm sober. I'm not drinking. I'm a chaperone. We're good. He's like, if he gets thrown out, you get thrown out. Like, deal.
Nice.
And he let us in.
Nice.
So this article is all about how only feminism can prevent global warming, which honestly, I don't have some kind of strong opinion one way or the other.
How dare you?
That is global warming actually happening or not. Like, I honestly, it's like everyone says that they have some kind of proof one way or the other. Like Bob Murphy seems to say, and he's an environmental economist, whatever that means. He looks at the graphs about the things. He seems to say global warming isn't happening. And then there are people that'll say, yeah, well, look at this, it is happening. So it's just kind of one of those things like the flat earth, they just don't care.
It's also a conflation of terms, right? They say global warming or global climate change, but what they really mean is like man-made. And when the data doesn't say man-made, they just drop that part, but they keep the implication when discussing it, right? Climate change is real, right? Earth goes through warming periods and cooling periods, and we may be in a warming period, right? But is that due to things that man does on a regular basis?
I see what you're saying.
Probably not, right? And even the hockey stick graph from what's that Al Gore video?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Man, bear, pig.
An inconvenient truth.
Inconvenient truth.
Inconvenient truth. my
Right.
bad.
If you like,
An inconvenient truth.
if you look at the graph, like, okay, fine, the data's there, but one causes the other, right? Like, you know, they're saying like the CO2 causes the temperature to rise, and it's the other way around, Like the temperature started to rise first.
Well, yeah, and so
it's misrepresenting the data.
They say all these things about global warming and the environment, and then every few years they come out with something new, and then the thing that they told you was really scary to worry about just disappears into the ether like it was never there, like the hole in the ozone.
And none of us were there, right? But in the 70s, the big concern was global cooling.
It
was cooling at the time.
When I was a kid, it was the hole in the ozone. The hole in the ozone layer was going to kill us all. Yes. And so nobody could have Aquanet hairspray anymore.
Well, and the proponents of that will say, and this is why the ozone closed.
No.
Right? Because they banned the chlorofluorocarbons, and that man-made act, right, of like not using these things actually worked. It's the reason why the ozone isn't a problem anymore, is because they banned the substance and solved the problem.
Well, is Aquanet banned everywhere?
Even if I was going to believe
or CFCs, is it banned everywhere or just like
I don't know?
Was it banned just here?
Chlorofluorocarbons or however.
Yeah, CFCs.
Yeah.
Even if I believe even if I believed you that one thing was solved by that one act, we did an article where it was every single claim throughout the year for many years that has not come true. It's like, the polar bears are going to be dead by this year. Not true.
The ice caps are melting.
Over and over and over.
Florida's going to be in the water.
CFCs were banned worldwide in 2010.
Okay.
So I'm pretty sure that the hole in the ozone layer was a forgotten thing before that, though. Because it was when I was a kid, which was like in the 90s.
Yeah. Right.
So,
but the industrialized world, like America, Canada, all the big places, right? They cut it a lot sooner. So, worldwide ending in 2010 might be like the last remaining African country going like, add it to the list. Who knows how much it was cut in the interim?
Yeah, maybe.
I still don't know that I would believe that people putting hairspray in their hair was destroying the Earth's protective gases in the really far away. I just don't really think I believe that. And it's not because I'm saying I believe one way or the other, but I don't just blindly believe it.
So my biggest thing...
So correlation, not causation, right? Because they banned it and there's no hole now.
My biggest thing about all of these environmentalism topics is that they like to blame the consumer, like the average person. You're doing this and you're doing this and you're destroying the world. It's not the factory down there that's pumping chemicals into the ocean.
Yeah.
They're not doing it.
Or the government.
Or like the giant oil spills from BP. Like none of that. These trains bursting into flames and releasing gases into the air. None of that. It's you and your plastic straws.
Yeah, like there's this caller that called in to say that, oh man, people could change global warming if they just stopped playing on their phones when they first got into their car.
Yeah, idling your car.
Yeah, and just don't idle until you start to drive away.
That'll change the world.
I don't see how that's possible.
Go all electric, then it won't be a problem.
Oh yeah, then the mines will be the problem.
Yeah.
And the other thing
the lithium mines.
The government's always testing all this crap. So like they're going around in deserts and exploding nukes and releasing a whole bunch of whatever, and they don't even know what they're releasing. Like they're over at Dugway Proving Ground doing chemical tests, and then they're like, oh, so let's see what happened. Oh, it killed all the birds.
Oh, I want to sidetrack for 1 second off of this article and nothing to do with it because you said the government testing things, and then my brain said a thing, so I have to say it. What is going on with the drone thing?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Did that just disappear?
It hasn't disappeared. I mean, there's not much to add to it.
Is it still happening?
Well, what is it? Because I purposely ignored it.
There are drones in multiple places, typically like New Jersey was the big one around here, that are just hovering around
Hampshire,
like yeah, they migrated to New Hampshire, but they were also in like the West Coast and other places too. So it wasn't just a New Jersey or New Hampshire thing. But they were like unknown aerial phenomenon. They were drones, and no one was admitting to where they were coming from. So the government line was, well, we don't know, it's not us. And then, or they said like, we don't know, but it's not the foreigners doing it. And then, well, then it's you, right? Because if you don't know and it's not them, then you're doing it. And they said, well, then it's not us.
Well, then why aren't you shooting them out of the sky?
Well, okay, so like, do you really want them shooting them out of the sky?
I'm just saying that if it was not them and they don't know who it is and they're flying over these military bases, why are they not shooting them out of the sky or like scrambling jets up there to find out what's going on? That says to me that it's them.
Okay. Well, and the response to that is like the government is wasteful, but do you really want to send like a $10,000 rocket for a $55 drone?
Not that I want to, just that they would if it wasn't them.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I think that makes sense. Yeah, I don't know. I purposely ignored it because I felt like they were going to make something out of it. Not that it really matters if one person ignores them, but I feel like if a bunch of people are paying attention and talking about and putting their energy towards something and being like, this is scary, it's going to cause something, that's the only reason they're going to go with it and make a bomb go off or whatever.
It's a distraction because World War III was on the table and they're still like funding Ukraine.
Well, I mean, that's been going on, though, so it seems a little like something specific to right now.
I thought it was going to be like a...
Well, they weren't talking about Ukraine and Israel for the week that the drones were in the air, so...
I thought it was going to be like a Christmas surprise. Like, we're being invaded by aliens, a new thing to be afraid of.
And I had to visit, or didn't have to, but I visited Ian on Christmas, so I was like, I'm going to be so close to Boston, well, at least I'll die
on an army base.
I would kind of rather die in a nuke explosion with Ian than like have Ian die in a nuke explosion while I'm just in freaking Keene, New Hampshire. But it didn't happen. We have time for it to happen again, though.
Another Christmas nuke?
Yeah, or New Year's.
So it's a whole bunch of planes going down. It's like the Russian plane or the Azerbaijani plane went down over Russia.
I didn't hear that.
Okay, that was
that
like
recent?
like within a week, and then the Korean plane went down like within the last couple of days.
I don't like that.
My whole thing about like that they were going to plan some kind of staged alien invasion is because not that long ago they were like, aliens are totally real.
Yeah,
they've just been like building up to it. So I'm just waiting for it to drop. Where And
again,
what was that movie where like the aliens go to the White House?
Independence Day?
Yeah, that one.
Oh, yeah, great movie. But the weird thing, like with the drones, one thing I have said is, like when we were kids, right, the aerial footage was like, the thing in the air would like dart to the left, then it would dart to the right, and it would dart straight up. And like, we can't do that in airplanes.
Yeah.
It turns out like 4 propellers is all you needed to make that happen. That's it.
That's true.
A quadcopter, and we can do all those alien maneuvers that they did in the 80s.
That's a really good point. They used to say that, we couldn't move a certain way. But then again, like, it still is interesting for the footage people have of it from the 80s and before then, because there weren't drones. Allegedly. The government
the government probably had drones.
Yeah.
That's like any kind of technology that we have now, they had like 30 years ago.
That's what people say. But sometimes I go back and forth. Like, I think that's way sometimes, and then I think, yeah, but that might just be what they want us to think, and really they're like, this is what Ian always says. He's like, do you really think the people that can't update their websites are like technologically ahead of us? And I just go back and forth. I just don't know.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen like just concept cars from car manufacturers? They're like so way beyond what a normal person's car is, and that's just a car manufacturing company, not the government.
Yeah.
Well, and look at like weapons technology, right? They're all government contracts. It's not your local like armorer down the street putting this stuff together, right? It's advanced technology. It's not coming from the aliens, but it's not consumer grade.
But even like the stuff the military is using in war isn't like, whoa, how is it possible? It's blowing my mind. I can't even like wrap my head around it being possible type stuff,
The new Russian missile that's like supersonic.
What does that mean?
It's faster than anything else ever produced, and like the air defenses can't keep up with it. They're too slow to like catch it and fire it out and knock it out of the sky. It's like right now currently indefensible if Russia wanted to launch it.
Is that the correct word, supersonic, though? Because isn't it when you hear a boom when an airplane goes by, it's just a supersonic boom?
Yes. But I mean, it's also faster than everything else right now.
Well,
it's still supersonic, but also like faster than all the other supersonic technology.
Okay. So, I mean, the military is on topic if we're talking about global warming, because it's exactly like you said, it's why are we, the consumers, getting blamed for throwing away our pads we like kind of have to use when the government is bombing? Sometimes they've even purposely bombed resources in other countries just to mess up their economies as a military move.
I think that they're the militaries in general is the number one pollution
At least in the United States. Yeah, the United States military.
Yeah, just the United States military.
Like, I think even like other countries too, their militaries are like the number one
probably
producer of pollution.
Yep. And in the United States, it's like the next industry is like not even close. I don't even remember what it is, though. So it says global warming is one of the most serious challenges of our time, threatening ecological, economic, and human lives on an international scale. The planet is already feeling the effects of climate change, including rising temperatures, melting ice sheets, melting cyclones. What does melting cyclones mean? Floods. Do you guys
melting cyclones?
It says melting ice sheets, melting cyclones. I think that might have been like a typo.
I think that's the typo.
Okay.
Floods and droughts. Tackling international warming requires addressing its root causes, which can be forced to address. This is seriously a bad article. Maybe I should
reputable
switch
news
to one.
source.
I didn't say it, or did I?
See,
no, you didn't say it this time.
That's why I have all these typos.
Yeah.
So it says tackling international warming requires addressing its root causes, which can be forced to address the larger in social policy and practice. Whoa, okay, I feel like I can't even read this.
Skip it.
Do you have a different source for this same article? This one is vocal.media, and the logo says
I have nationalreview.com.
Oh,
okay, that's a reputable news source.
Okay.
I think it should be read from there. If it's the same one by Mohammed Javed Arif, it's just
no, it's
bad.
by Wesley J. Smith.
Maybe this person.
Oh, white name. Good. You can trust this source.
Should be spelled properly at least.
This person kind of just took that and AI generated changed it up,
Probably.
because that is crazy. I could not read that.
Yeah, they probably told ChatGPT change this enough so that it's not plagiarism.
I don't trust any article written by Muhammad Al-Sharif. Give me Wesley Smith.
So the title is the same, only feminism can prevent global warming. About a month ago, some bioethicists claimed that bioethics should prevent climate change. My eyes had finally stopped rolling when, lo and behold, I learned from 3 UN women researchers in Scientific American, no less, that feminism holds the real key to preventing the planet from cooking. As you would expect, the opinion piece is a god-awful
mess. For women to
mess.
stop cooking.
Whoa, he disagrees? I'm surprised.
That attacks capitalism and the use of fossil fuels. In other words, its authors disdain prosperity. From how feminism can guide climate change action, the current economic system that underpins the status quo is rooted in the extraction of natural resources and exploitation of cheap or unpaid labor, often done by women and marginalized communities. I'm so sick of the word marginalized. This system...
because the thing is, people think that they're doing something great for these women who get paid low wages in other countries, but they're doing those jobs because it's better than their other options.
I just hate the word because I hear it a billion times a week.
It's dumber in America too, because it's I'm marginalized even though I have every choice to do something else.
Right. I'm supposedly marginalized because I'm a woman, but I don't feel marginalized at all. I can do anything I want. I can
you're a
just
white woman.
get up and do anything I want. I'm a poor one though.
Okay.
Also,
But
so
you're second from the top of the privilege ladder.
Am I?
Yeah. It's white men, white women, and then marginalized communities.
I think it's stupid that anybody says that though, because any man of any race can go get any job moving rocks that isn't disabled or harmed.
A man can go get a vasectomy. A black man can go get a vasectomy without anyone's approval. I can't go get my tubes tied. I can't get a tubal ligation unless I'm over 25, have had 3 kids with my husband's approval, my fake husband who doesn't exist.
That's why you're the second one down, because your husband's right above.
Well, but black men are above me because they have control of their own bodies at least.
Okay. All right.
Right? So I'm marginalized, but I don't feel marginalized. No one is marginalized. Okay, I shouldn't say
you
no
just
one.
gave an example of why you are.
I'm not, though. I'm not. If I really want to, I can go doctor shop and find one and get it done.
And that's the other thing. It's in the grand scheme of things, I don't think really anyone in America really is that bad. And it's not that
there
I'm
are some
saying,
people, but
it's not that I'm saying I'm marginalized because black men can do something. It's that none of us are really that bad off. And the other thing is that the people that they call marginalized in other countries, if they try to help them, they actually make it worse. People who boycott walnuts because the women doing the jobs opening the walnuts cut their fingers sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
That's so stupid. You're taking away the thing that gets them the money that they are wanting, and that's why they want the job. I know you guys understand that, but seriously, some people that even call themselves libertarian don't seem to understand it.
Slavery is different though, because choice is removed.
Different,
and that's happening in I forget, Ethiopia and other countries. So
oh man, now you know where to go, Ricky.
Sudan, where the worst humanitarian crisis of all time is happening. Apparently, I think it's Sudan.
They should ease it out economically.
It's funny the things that people pick and choose to care about. Like, all these the whole country is like these marginalized people who happen to have ancestors that went through something bad. Mm-hmm. But diamonds are still an industry. Like, you're still buying diamonds from all these little slaves in mines. Like,
even though the lab ones are perfectly sufficient.
They're exactly the same.
Slaves. Like, the diamond industry is a good example.
Actually, they're better because they don't have flaws.
You can get this flawless diamond from a lab
for cheaper,
or you can get this flawed diamond like mined by African children.
The blood makes it mean more.
Totally does.
Like, how does this country
equate the labor theory of value
things?
in action.
Yeah, I don't know how this country like equates these things in their mind and is like, this is fine, everything's fine.
But if you stop buying it, they wouldn't have anything to do, and you take away their purpose in life.
Yeah,
their mind slavery.
Well, the thing
you can't just let them free. What did Ricky say earlier? It has to be economically viable and feasible.
The white hippie women in America need a purpose too, and their purpose is virtue signaling about, I don't eat walnuts because of that. 603-283-6160. It's Free Talk Live. More coming up. 603-283-6160.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Benji Haya. Joe Biden has declared a national day of mourning following the death this weekend of one of his predecessors, Jimmy Carter, the United States' 39th president, who he called a man of principle, faith, and humility. Our US correspondent Mitch McCann reports.
In a proclamation, President Biden declared January 9 as a national day of mourning throughout the United States. In his statement, he called on the American people to assemble in their respective places of worship to honour the memory of Jimmy Carter. He also ordered US flags be displayed at half-staff at the White House, all public buildings and grounds, at military posts and naval stations. A state funeral will be held for former President Carter, a 7 to 10 day event in 3 stages, and will likely include ceremonies in Washington, D.C. and Carter's home state of Georgia.
South Korea has ordered an emergency safety inspection of the nation's entire airline system after a plane crash killed 179 passengers there. The Jeju Air Boeing aircraft successfully touched down at Muan International Airport on Sunday without its landing gear before sliding off the end of the runway and hitting a concrete wall, bursting into flames. Here's aviation expert David Learmont.
To have a hard object about 200 metres or less into the overrun, I think it's verging on criminal to have it there.
Meanwhile, several other airlines have announced the suspension of flights to Russia after Azerbaijan accused the country of shooting down one of its airliners with an air defence system. Trent Murray has the details.
Azerbaijan's president has called on Russia to apologise and pay compensation for allegedly shooting down an Azerbaijan Airlines Embraer jet last week. 38 people died after the jet diverted and crash-landed in nearby Kazakhstan. Amid safety concerns, Israel's flag carrier El Al has announced it is suspending flights to Moscow until at least March.
Russia and Ukraine have exchanged hundreds of prisoners of war in a deal brokered by the United Arab Emirates. And 2024 has been the most deadly on record for migrants trying to cross the English Channel in small boats. 77 people have died attempting to make the journey from France to the UK this year alone. The British government is blaming, quote, ruthless criminals who operate smuggling gangs and exploit those fleeing conflict. Zoe Gardner is a migration policy researcher.
We can have smashed the gangs all we like, but if there is still war in Sudan and there is still the Taliban in Afghanistan, then the UK will still be a destination for safety for some of those people. And if we still keep treating the gangs like they're the root of the problem, then we can arrest one and another one will take their place.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
You can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our FTL social mastodon at social.freetalklive.com.
Free Talk Live. More Free Talk Live is here now, and you can call 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. And with you on Free Talk Live tonight, you've got me, Bonnie,
Lori,
and Richie Rich.
And Free Talk Live is brought to you by LibertyMinded.com. Free Talk Live gear, like t-shirts and hoodies, are available at LibertyMinded.com. Plus, you'll find a unique collection of cool and funny Liberty-oriented clothing at LibertyMinded.com. That's LibertyMinded.com. And we have a caller on the line, so I'm going to go straight to the phones. David in New Mexico, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Something I'm going to let Richie pick the subject. But first of all, I missed something with in the segment Sex Talk with Turd.
Mm-hmm.
Why would somebody want to be a permacuck?
I
Anyway.
didn't understand that either.
He said something else.
Oh.
Not permacuck?
No, not permacuck.
Oh, well, well, I feel better.
Permacucked,
I
yeah.
mean, I just didn't understand why anybody'd want to be a permacuck.
I'm sure there are some people who would like to.
Yeah.
It's definitely
Everyone's
I
into
guess
something.
I have seen those kind of videos on that what is it, that porn tube or whatever it is?
Why are you watching
Yeah.
those videos? Like, there's plenty of different topics, I'm sure. Or categories, I mean.
Oh, no.
He likes to think of himself as the bull.
Just different stuff comes up in your face, when you're watching porn tube, Bonnie. You know how it goes.
No, I don't.
No, there's algorithms.
So all you're saying that they knew I wanted to see permacucks? Is that what you're saying? Lori?
Apparently.
Oh,
The
damn
AI
it.
knows all, man.
Yeah, not again. I was stuck in that algorithm for years. Now it's starting all over again. Oh,
It's going to be a Mexican, too.
Everything's secular.
Mexican.
Cyclical?
What- How
Cyclical.
did you
That's the
get on that topic there, Richie?
Because if they're doing porn for you, David, if the algorithm is pulling up porn, I'm sure it's going to be Mexican cucks.
Well, why would it be Mexicans?
Because you have this thing for pointing out Mexicans, and
Oh, but I'm racist against more than just Mexicans. Why would Mexicans come up?
no, I don't know, because you live in New Mexico, and that was the one that you were complaining about recently.
It's because they dragged in another one of those ratty trailers. Now they got 5 trailers over there, and they had a 6th one come in and gave it to their Haitian friend.
Imagine how many people they're housing in those things. It's not just like one family per trailer.
Yeah, you never know, man. There must be.
Wait, so
billions
you
of them
live
over
there.
They're like building a community, and
Are there other people in the buildings, or are you just not are you not looking at them? Are you not like seeing it throughout the day?
I have no idea. All I know is how can you see when there's a wall of 6 trailers in your way? You can't see what's really going on. Maybe that's
mean,
the
you
whole
would think
point.
they'd
Maybe
walk
that's
They have
all
6
they're-
now?
Oh,
why
I
are you
know.
spending so
They're
much
gonna-
time
they're gonna
looking?
use- they're going to use one of them. I know they're going to use as a chicken house.
A what?
A chicken house.
Chicken house.
Oh.
Don't you speak Mexican?
No, I thought you said Heekin House. It was like, is
No,
Heekin?
chicken house. Chicken house. I said chicken. I didn't say Heekin.
Okay.
Why is this
You
any
live
of
in-
your
you live in-
concern?
Because
How come you
they're
don't understand the
polluting his view.
Mexicans? Bonnie, you lived in San Antonio. How come you don't understand the Mexican?
You sound nothing like the Mexicans in San Antonio. In fact, you literally sound New Mexico, California, Arizona, even when you talk normally.
Oh my goodness.
Irma Gerd.
I never speak normally, Bonnie. I mean, I'm on Free Talk Live. By definition, I'm never talking normally if I'm on Free Talk Live.
I don't know why that's by definition.
Well, because
it's not like
because
Weird
by
Talk Live.
definition, a person,
It's not like
by
the Ministry of
definition,
Funny
a person,
Accents.
When a person gets on the radio or on the TV, they're on, just like the director. Okay, action.
That's true,
You can never
Ian. I'm always just like, Ian, I like your radio voice. Why do you have a different radio voice? And he was
I
just like,
told you.
he's a professional.
Really, he was proud to not
you.
have the radio vomit voice.
No, it's not that. It's that he has a voice that he definitely knows and like admits that he uses when he's doing the show. But then
Okay.
he has a different voice he talks to me in.
All right.
And he said, it's just because I'm not, like, I don't feel like I have to, like, perform for you, in that way.
So this is all performative for you, David?
Now we know, but Ian doesn't perform for Bonnie.
Okay, whatever.
Wow.
We can move on. So stupid.
Well, he certainly
Put that on the
doesn't now, But I
soundboard.
mean before, Bonnie.
What?
I said, obviously he doesn't now,
Mhm.
but I'm talking about before now.
Yep. Whatever.
I fell in love with the radio voice. Please do it for me.
Yeah, please. I only want to hear your radio voice. No. Silly.
Do you think he
You
does it
only-
for the other prisoners
You only love me for my radio voice, Bonnie.
Yeah.
at dinner? Just like holds the fork up to his mouth like a microphone. Starts a broadcast.
Does Daryl talk the same way he does on the radio in real life?
Hope not.
Who's Daryl?
Daryl W. Perry.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, man. I hope so, because it's funnier that way.
Okay.
I never liked his voice. Some people like it.
I know, it's funny.
It's really mean. I'm sorry.
But can you imagine, like, having a baby and talking to your baby like that or something? Like, it's hilarious to me.
I feel like
He was
it's just
recently
normal to him. Really?
I don't know
within,
him.
Within the last 24 hours.
Whoa.
Imitate him, Lori.
No, I don't know. I can't do that.
I can do it at one point. I don't think I'm really good at imitating people, but I'll try to point out what is weird about his voice. Like, there is a commercial you might hear from time to time when you're listening to Free Talk Live from the Liberty Radio Network, and it's a good commercial because it's freeross.org, but it's like he adds a second R when he's saying Ross. He's like freeross.org. Free Ross. I can't, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you add the second R. I can barely do it, but he does. And it's just like, I used to turn off the radio and not listen to that commercial. It's really mean, really, really mean, but I just really doubt he's listening. I mean, this show has been kind of like BSing Talk Live the whole entire show because we had Turd call in about his balls. We had David call in about Turd's balls. That's legitimately what this show has been tonight.
I hope you find an appropriate title for it.
That's why they call it Freak Talk Live.
Do you have something important?
Permacup.
Do you have something important to talk about?
Permacups are important. They're people too, Bonnie.
Yeah.
Come on. So, if you want to talk about something important, I guess we gotta ask Richie. Since Richie is underwhelmed by any free talk that I might suggest, other than talking about permacucks. Richie seems to be okay with talking about permacucks, but Richie, suggest a worthwhile topic so that you're happy with it.
For you?
No, not for me. Don't do it for me. I don't want you doing it for me. Just do it for yourself, Richie.
Oh, dude, I brought in like 20
say.
articles, or maybe not 20. Let's see.
That's
the
the
count.
thing. You call in with a topic you want to talk about, David, but if you weren't on the line, we would just all be talking about stuff we want to talk about.
I brought in 13 headlines, David, to discuss on the show.
Okay,
and
give it your best shot. Pick your best one, Richie.
Well, I'll read some of them. I'll read some of them to you, and you tell me which one you like.
All right.
Classified fighter jet specs leaked again on War Thunder, the video game. Stripping man accused of using Pokemon cards to attack a dollar store customer.
I can see that if they're like all in one big box, maybe, but I don't know how they sell them.
Your iPhone belongs to God. Whereas student traumatized after managing to break her jaw on aptly named candy. Gen Z can't recognize real cash, thinks it's counterfeit. This is the one that we might have gotten to without your call, David. Woman who warned social media not to fall for Keanu Reeves' romance scam becomes homeless after falling for Keanu Reeves' romance scam.
Romance scam.
Yeah.
In the notes I wrote, Keanu Reeves romance scam too powerful.
Man arrested for forgetting his drunk live stream of failed bank heist. And global chess competition marred by dress code scandal. That's not even all of them. That's just some of the ones that sounded better for this particular part of the show.
And these all come from the Daily Mail or the Sun or What? The Post?
I use an app that pulls RSS feeds from multiple sources. So
What's the
I
app
don't.
called?
It's not all one source, and I don't have the sources directly in front of me. I'd have to like click through to check those.
David doesn't listen
What is
because
the
we've
app?
had this conversation before.
What's the app?
Yeah, what's the app?
I have an iPhone, so I use Newsify as my RSS reader, which pulls my Feedly feed from my Feedly app, and then I cut and paste everything into the Bridges app to send off to the show.
Is the Feely app is that similar to the Touchy Feely app?
I don't know. I don't use the Touchy Feely app.
Oh, well, I do. It's pretty good.
Is that like backdoor, back page, backdoor? That's a better name for it, I guess.
Me and Penguin made the same joke because we kept saying back page, and I kept being like, so backdoor.com. You know, just kept saying that.
They were back in the news recently because that thing is still like making its way through the court system.
I didn't know that, but they were in the news in an article we covered because this woman was talking about how being an escort was totally safe and freeing and just easily to make money back when Backpage.com existed, and then they took it away and made it more dangerous for her.
And it wasn't just for escorts. It was an up and coming competitor to Craigslist, right? But it was, much like OnlyFans, right? Used more by escorts and those services, so become synonymous with that. They got taken over, and then Craigslist removed the casual encounter section so that they wouldn't be on the list as well.
Yeah, because Craigslist had that whole thing going too.
Right, but it wasn't as prominent as Backpage, right? Especially for escorts. But then Craigslist took it down, and then they had to scatter, right? And now it's wherever they're at. I don't know.
Craigslist took the whole personal section off, except for missed encounters is still there.
Okay, the casual encounters went first, and then the personals went after that, and then they scattered.
Okay, Richie. So I understand that you like the Keanu Reeves thing, but I'm kind of leaning towards the fighter jet thing. That kind of intrigued me more than the rest of them.
I was confused about that one. I thought it said something about a video game.
Oh yeah, War Thunder is a video game. So classified fighter jet specs leaked on War Thunder. The discussion, which revolved around the scanning capabilities of the Captor radar, CAPTOR in all caps, led to a user posting restricted material in an attempt to prove their argument. War Thunder, a free-to-play online combat game developed by Gaijin Entertainment, was launched in 2012 with development and operations now spread across Europe, including offices in Germany, Hungary, and Cyprus, and a team of 200 employees. While the material was swiftly removed and the user suspended, the latest incident has reignited concerns about the repeated sharing of sensitive information on the platform.
Well, did it explain what kind of sensitive information, like CP or something?
The Captor radar.
What is that?
I don't know. You got to look into that. But it's CAPTOR radar. So the scanning capabilities about the Captor radar, they did this again maybe a couple years ago. Same game with Russian tanks, and the users got in a big kerfuffle on what's legit and what the tank looks like. And some guy went, "I have the specs to prove that the War Thunder game, isn't displaying this as accurately as it could." And it was sensitive, confidential information.
Confidential, apparently they're saying it's making Europe, maybe Europe less safe because it's a highly advanced multi-mode pulse Doppler radar system primarily designed for the Eurofighter Typhoon fighter jet. And I would assume that means it's in Europe, right? Because it says Euro radar Captor.
Sure.
Yeah, the Typhoon is a project of the European Union.
Right, but this is not the first time that this game, who is claim to fame as accuracy in presentation, had users leak information about sensitive, confidential government topics.
What's the name of the game again?
What's that?
What's the name of the game again?
War Thunder, free to play. So go ahead and download it, David. A forum community manager addressed the situation, reminded users of the risks and responsibility involved. Quote, "I will take this opportunity to again remind everyone here, please do not, under any circumstances, try to share any source material unless you are 100% certain they are legally declassified and publicly safe for use."
How did somebody even get it?
They're in the industry. Like, it's not like they were hacking it. It's like, dude's like, I work for the government, man, and I know what these documents look like. Here's proof.
I used to work for the government.
Yeah.
Now he's in like the gulag.
That happened to somebody last year, and it was like huge news where they posted some kind of government information because he was against the war in Ukraine.
Okay. That's more of a whistleblower. This is just an idiot on a video game.
But the thing was, he was against the war in Ukraine, and he was just trying to make some kind of point to his friends in a Discord group.
Okay.
He wasn't trying to be a
All
whistleblower,
right.
and now he's in prison. That was huge news last year, but I feel like I've got like one...
That'll teach you.
Yeah, I feel like I have like one or two like details wrong, and that's why it's not ringing a bell with you guys.
All right.
It was like a young guy, like 21-year-old Air Force guy.
Okay. I mean, again, if he's in the Air Force, he definitely has that information, right? Like, he's not, he's not a hacker trying to get to it. Like, oh, here's the documents, guys.
Yeah.
We will never handle or use them, and all it does is actively harm any possible future changes being possible by trying to use them. Do not do it. No goodwill will ever come from it for you or the vehicle you are trying to post for. The user, end quote, the user was warned before sharing the documents, but it appears they proceeded regardlessly, resulting in the immediate removal of the material. The Italian Ministry of Defense, whose documents may have been cited, has previously stated that manuals like these are excluded from public access for both security and commercial reasons. A worrying pattern. This is not the first time War Thunder forums have faced issues with classified leaks. This is the one I was talking about. Previous incidents have involved technical details for the Challenger 2 tank, Leclerc main battle tank, and Chinese ammunition systems. Each case has underscored the platform's struggle for balanced enthusiasm for military accuracy with the protection of sensitive information. Radar controversy. The Captor radar was at the heart of the debate. Discussion centered on comparisons between its mechanical scanning, Captor M, and electronically scanning, Captor E variants, particularly the latter's ability to reduce scanning time significantly. Players disagreed over the exact technical capabilities, prompting the ill-advised sharing of restricted data. Moderators have clarified that any claims based on classified information will not be entertained and reminded users that no in-game content will be adjusted based on unauthorized sources. Larger implications. The repeated leaks from these forums pose broader concerns, particularly regarding the unauthorized dissemination of restricted information in public spaces. Defense analysts warn that such actions can carry serious legal consequences and even impact the operational security of military platforms.
So did that person actually get in trouble, like get a consequence?
Does not say in this article.
Or maybe they didn't figure out who it was, which would be kind of funny.
No, they knew who it was because they banned him, right?
Yeah. Well, they banned the username, or like the video game player, but they might have not figured out who it was from there.
Okay.
Then.
Well,
like who the person in real life was.
Yeah, fair enough. But if you're out in the open on a public space like this, it's going to be narrowed down to who had access to the information.
Yeah, and he probably put his real name
somewhere.
In some kind of...
Well, yeah, he doesn't seem like a super smart
obviously
person.
Well, we do have a caller.
I'm going to leak classified documents to win this internet argument.
Right.
I want to see
in a video game that nobody's even heard of.
I'm going to see what this caller has to say about it or any other subject. Cadu in Connecticut, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I didn't really need too much time for this. I feel bad if David had something else to say about that, but
no, he wanted me to read an article to him.
David talked for like 30 minutes.
Oh,
I mean, not 30, but still.
Okay, yeah, no, I just called to kind of gossip and talk trash, but my father, he's not really a libertarian, or wasn't at first anyway, and both my parents have a history of like being state workers, but I got him, into listening to Free Talk Live, and I probably turned him more conservative-y. That wasn't really my intention necessarily, but these days it's kind of where he's at, and he, when listening to Free Talk Live in the past, I just remember that he said like, "Oh my God, when that Daryl W. Perry guy is on, I just cannot listen." Just like the way that he talks.
A lot of people
It's definitely a unique voice.
They have strong opinions.
You'll never forget it.
Because some people actually really like his voice, which is so weird.
It was a traditional radio voice.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Like puking. Yeah, he did
Right.
the pukey thing. I don't really get. I don't understand. And that actually makes a lot of sense with the adding an extra R in Ross, because it's kind of like just like
Ross.
trying to chew on your words while talking.
It's like What was it, Casey Kasem or whatever?
If you want more of Daryl W. Perry, like, he's on YouTube yelling at people. Well, I mean, I don't know about current stuff, but find his stuff about, the toaster license and his argument with Sam Cedar. Those are great.
Did you know he did?
I've watched that. Oh, that one was crazy with Sam Cedar. He kind of went nuts in that one. But in general, he went totally crazy on that one. I do remember now that you mentioned it.
I know that Turd hates Sam Cedar, but I've never heard anything by this person.
Yeah, he's a pretentious a-hole. But he riled up Daryl.
He and Sam Cedar's very statist. Every answer is something that more government. But yeah, I think Daryl's radio voice in general is just very like kind of in your face in a way. Like he's talking like I don't know, like from the gut.
Did you know that Daryl Perry read an audiobook and it was a children's book?
Amazing.
I heard part
like
of
on
it.
Air, or he did the voices for it.
He did an audiobook.
All right.
Amazing.
And the thing is,
that's
just
great.
Like, it would scare children.
Do you know what it was?
No, not off the top of my head. But actually, Chris from the Wednesday shows knows because he's the one that showed it to me. So you could ask him, or I could ask him. He's also on Twitter. You're on Twitter, Kadu. He's on Twitter. So you can
ask Google AI. Maybe it already knows.
Yeah, that's true. Ask Grok on Twitter. They're actually pretty good.
But he was on the show for quite a while, right? But I don't remember hearing him that much. But I think so. It is possible that I was not listening for those years, a lot during that. So maybe I'm sympathizing with my father on this one. I don't really know, but he was on for a long time, right?
A few years. I don't exactly know his tenure, but long enough to make an impact.
I feel bad that we're all like dogging on him because he was supposedly a really effective, good liberty activist and also very principled.
Yeah.
And
he ran for governor. He's a big fan of Robert's Rules of Order when it comes to libertarian debating.
Who's a big fan of Robert's Rules of Order?
Daryl W. Perry.
Crazy, but yeah, I've heard the same thing.
So you got to have kind of like an organized mind to be good with that stuff and like thinking in that way, right?
The sad thing is his mind is like literal mush at this point because of too many concussions.
Why?
He's got a bunch of concussions apparently. And
the last concussion that debilitated him, he literally stepped on a rake and had the handle hit him in the face.
Just like Looney Tunes.
Just like the cartoons.
Yeah.
And that was like the end.
What were the other ones?
I have no idea. He played football for years, so I'm sure a lot of it was sports related.
He was like a really effective activist, and that's why a lot of people believe, and I don't really feel bad saying it because she put her butt on my house. A lot of people believe that Jackie Perry, his wife now, I'm pretty sure, was sent to take him away because they got together. She was like a crazy, leftist,
and host of Free Talk Live.
Yeah, she hosted Free Talk Live. She called herself a libertarian. She's way more just completely a leftist.
She's technically a Georgist.
What is that? Yeah, I don't know what that is.
It's almost a libertarian, but not private property. You can't own the land, so the land is taxable.
So they became like enemies?
Wait, what?
No, they're still together.
No, yeah, that's not what I was saying.
They moved away.
I was saying that I think that she was sent in a honeypot.
She's an infiltrator to remove Daryl W. Perry
very weird
from the Free State Project.
Specific type of honeypot sent in to take away Daryl Perry. But people say that about me.
But she's also been a Libertarian Party member for longer than most of the activists here. So
you think
she has cred behind her.
Anything to me.
Okay.
So you think that he's that effective of an activist that they were actually actively trying to undermine him?
Yeah.
At one time,
he was.
In his prime, he was.
I didn't know that.
And then she came around, and then he went loony.
Well, he stepped on a rake.
That's the story.
That's what did it. He was fine, and then he stepped on a rake.
It did seem like Ian liked him quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, despite the puke voice, right, he was, if you like that sort of thing, he was a really good communicator, really understood the principles, really understood the ideas, and was politically involved. He ran for governor. He ran for, the Libertarian presidential ticket. He's in a whole bunch of debates. He reached out to people like Sam Cedar to get the interviews. He was active.
I need to actually listen to an episode with him because the only reason I know his voice is from the Ross commercials, and then I was kind of complaining about it, and I actually didn't even know it was Daryl that did that commercial, and then Chris Reitman from the Wednesday shows showed me his children's book. So yeah, we should all Google that and play it. on the next episode or something. I don't know if that's kind of too mean. But it's been Free Talk Live. You can get more Free Talk Live at freetalklive.com, and we'll be live again tomorrow. So thank you for listening, and peace.
If you're David, a few well-chosen words can help level the playing field with Goliath. I'm Holland Cook from survivalspeech.com. Recently, I saw a Yellow Pages ad for an appliance repair company, and the headline read, "Why wait for Sears?" If you're going to the Yellow Pages, the Dead Sea Scrolls of advertising, you're ready to buy right now. So this is an attention-grabbing message. And how about the plumber whose radio ad says, "Call by noon Thursday, and we'll be there Saturday at no extra cost"?